And we are back. Couch Company Podcast. I'm John. With me, as always, Tyler.
Hello.
T-Dog.
You haven't called me T-Dog in a while.
Yeah, I felt it, though. I felt it this time in my soul.
Ooh.
Which is pretty deep.
It's pretty intimate. Okay.
Where do you think the soul's located? Like, if you had to put it somewhere, like, hiding...
Heart.
Probably the pancreas?
Or the pancreas. That was my second choice.
Because isn't it, like, a useless thing?
The pancreas?
Yeah. No, the pancreas is very useful.
I'm pretty sure the pancreas
what's appendix?
The appendix, yeah.
Is useless?
I don't know, but if it's useless, it might contain the soul.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, didn't we, like...
Evolve out of it?
Yeah, something like that.
If you believe in evolution,
we theorized like it was used for something in the past. We don't need it anymore. Mm-hmm. Because we used to have souls, but now...
Like our conscience?
Yeah, modern society, we're
Goodness.
soulless people.
Yeah.
Sheep, just watching our screens and...
This is a direction. Yeah.
I don't know, bro.
Gallbladder? We need that.
I feel like that's something.
I
don't know if you need
the pancreas, the gallbladder, and the appendix, I think, are all just
made up.
Yeah.
I think the pancreas is pretty important now that I'm thinking about it.
If you get cancer there, it's really bad. I know that.
If you get cancer anywhere.
Uh-oh, wait a minute.
I think it's insulin, right?
Insulin? Thanks, Chelsea.
Because
she's a bachelorette of science. Master of science. Master of teaching. Master of teaching, a bachelorette of science.
Master of ceremonies.
Can you say bachelorette? That's probably not right. Bachelors of science. What are we talking about?
I don't know.
Sorry.
I'm very confused.
I was having two conversations. That's my fault. I'm back. Hi.
All right. Good. Present. So she's a bachelorette in science.
No, you can't say that. She has a bachelor's of science. So do I. From Indiana University IUP.
IUP. I usually party.
IUP. What is that? What does that stand for?
Indiana
University
of Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. That makes sense.
I thought so.
Yeah. My school doesn't exist anymore, so what do I know?
Wait, where did you go again?
Art Institute of Pittsburgh.
They don't exist?
No.
What happened?
They shut down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about art?
Apparently not.
Is that just like, does that span all art forms or?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they had like culinary, animation,
they had music
graphic
and
design.
stuff?
I don't think they had music.
Oh, music's not art. I forgot.
Yeah. That's kind of like your artsy art.
Artsy art? I think music's artsy art. I think like painting's artsy art.
No, you're right. I don't think
when you think of
music.
art, you think of paint. I think.
Yeah,
because it's always designated as like a, what do you call the thing with the paint on it? Paint board?
The paint board?
Yeah.
The canvas?
Not the canvas, but like where you dip the brush and then you go to the canvas.
Oh, like just your...
you know what I'm talking about?
It's not a... Yeah.
It's like a semicircle.
It's not an easel. Yeah.
It's not an easel. That holds the canvas.
Yeah, no, it holds the paint. Yeah, your paint board.
Man, what's that called? I thought you went to the Art Institute. You should know this.
I did paint a little bit.
Yeah, you painted.
I hated every second of it.
Really?
I hate painting. Painting is my least... Actually, oh, that's tough. Do I hate painting or oil more? I think I hate painting more. If I do like oil paint, I hate that.
What about watercolors?
Hate watercolors. I put that all in the same painting category.
I mean, it's all painting.
Like I did like a pastel.
Yeah.
I had to do a pastel and a colored pencil. So my colored pencil was Yoda. And my pastel, I think, was Saving Private Ryan, the sniper. I did a portrait of him.
Where he gets shot through the scope?
Right before.
Oh,
right.
They don't want to see
right
that.
Before, yeah.
That would have been a statement, though. I feel like art's about a statement.
That is true.
That would have been a big statement.
My statement for art was I did a graphic design. This is actually whenever I switched over to graphic design, and I did the Lips of an Angel. Like I forget who sings that. Not Creed. Who sings Lips of an Angel? Do you remember that?
No.
Okay. Anyway, but
I know, extremely helpful.
But I took a picture of like a, I don't know, is stripper a right politically correct word still?
I think yeah.
Anyway, it's like a silhouette of a stripper, and then I put
I don't think it is
angel wings on her.
I don't know what it would be.
Exotic dancer.
Exotic dancer, yeah.
I took that, and
although I think isn't that like a certain threshold? Like once it costs a certain dollar amount, then it's an exotic dancer.
Oh, maybe.
It's kind of like a hooker and an escort. Like once you get to a certain figure, it's now an escort.
I don't think. Sure.
I think that's literally how it goes. Or I could be making this all up. I mean, who's to say?
I don't. Once 401ks are involved, I think is the.
You think they have 401ks?
Escorts? Probably.
They might.
They would have to, right?
I'm sure they have good health benefits.
Ugh, I don't know about that.
You don't think?
I don't know. It's risky.
If I employed that, I would make sure that would.
If you would be an exotic pimp or whatever, what's the correct term of that?
I would call myself
a madam
CEO.
Oh, okay.
Of an exotic.
What are we talking about?
Dancer company. Don't you think you would get a lot of good candidates if you
had good health benefits?
Health benefits,
sure.
Yeah. I feel like that outweighs maybe the cost. I mean, I'm sure it's very expensive for good health benefits, but
yeah,
there's a whiteboard somewhere that calculates.
Yeah, I just feel like that line of work might lend itself to more use of. I mean, you're in insurance, you know, more than I know.
Maybe.
If you have good health benefits, but then you're
but once you get to the escort tier, I feel like the requirements or the restrictions,
the clientele.
Well, the clientele is the clientele, but like the restrictions are a little bit more strict
on what you can and can't do.
Yes, but like also just being safe about.
See, I disagree.
Activity.
I disagree.
I don't
because
think.
I think when you hit that level, and you're dealing with these like people that can throw ludicrous amounts of money around,
right?
All bets are off.
No, because you got to think long term.
I love how we're talking like
you got to think long term.
What we're talking about.
Like one session is not going to be worth the long term health of my employees.
No, but. It is my understanding that
I think it's a volume game at that point. It's a volume game because you're at a strata that it's significant compensation.
Yeah.
So we're talking longevity. Now.
So you are nice to your escorts.
I'm extremely dude. If I ran a company, I am a firm believer in if you're good to your employees, you treat them well.
They will.
Like like you will get your return on investment. Mm-hmm. Like you will pay upfront more, making sure they have adequate compensation, treated well, whatever benefits.
Yeah.
But I think in my heart, and this is the optimist to me, like that'll come back. The chickens will come to roost, as they say. Although I think that term's usually a negative connotation.
Usually you reap what you sow. That's
also negative, probably.
Yeah. No. If you sow good things,
well,
yeah.
Anyways, I'm a firm believer in that. Obviously, a lot of companies disagree.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're the ones who are billionaires, not me. So maybe that's
you want your. I guess it depends, right? Like you want your employees to love your company.
Yes.
Which is why smaller companies and mom and pop shops and stuff are always like close knit and do it, like kind of working well.
Right.
But yeah, like once you get too large, like I don't know, people like it takes a specific type of person to actually really care about the company. I think that's the difference. Is like it's not. You have to do something specific. You have to give them some sort of ownership or some sort of like, hey, you do this, it directly relates to, and that's why like they invented bonuses and different things like that. But yeah.
No, I agree. I think there's a balance though. Like you don't want people to take advantage, right? Because I think if you're too far in that direction as well, people will take advantage of the situation.
How so?
Like if you're too relaxed or you're always giving people the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to draw the line somewhere. There has to be expectations, of course, right?
Yeah.
So there's a fine line, but I do believe in treating your employees well. Crazy notion, I know.
Here's the thing: if the owner of a company was extremely straightforward, like when you were looking for a job and stuff, and you're like, hey man. This job is not pretty. It's like we expect you to work like this many hours exactly. We expect you to get this much stuff done, all this other stuff. As long as it's upfront, I feel like that's fine. Like, I'm not saying they're going to be like, we're going to treat you like crap and berate you and stuff. Like, there are some human decency things.
For sure.
That aside, I think the thing that people get caught up on or start looking like, oh, the grass is always greener at like a different place or a different company is because companies are afraid to be honest with what their true corporate business expectations are, because they want to attract as many people as they can. They want to say like, oh, it's such a great place to work. All the people, it's wonderful, all roses. Even though like, you know, it's not always going to be that. Even if it is the current state of hiring people and different things like that, there will be a tough time. There will be things that like, you know, can you get through this with the people that you hired? And I think it's important that you're honest with people and very clear on expectations, because if you are, then it's tough for people to be like, oh, well, you promised me this and now it's completely different. Or, oh, you said you wanted this, but now you want twice that or something. And if a company was just like, okay, we expect you to work 40 hours, you only get 1 hour for lunch, we only do XYZ, blah, 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 and they hold to it, and it's like, it's tough work, it's a tough job, whatever, but they were upfront about it from the very beginning before you were hired, I think you would benefit more doing that. I don't know.
I think so too, but I mean, there's like a part of me that thinks like, would you get enough candidates that would be interested in that opportunity? Or are people believing what they're hearing at other companies? Like, because like part of me is thinking like, I generally think companies know what they're doing. That's why they are where they are. Like, I know a lot of people like just think like, oh, like they're dumb and greedy, and like there's plenty of examples of that. But like, like in my brain, I'm just thinking like, if that was the best way to do it, someone would figure that out, right?
I think it's companies are in with other like, you know how I fully subscribe to like the one world power. I just think there's this like shadow cabal of governments that are basically just governing the world.
Do you actually think that?
I think deep down it would like kind of.
You know what I'm starting to think?
That I'm a crazy person?
No.
Okay.
But I think that there's the idea of that, and that's what kind of shapes and forms a lot of these decision making.
Maybe.
Like, it's hard for me to think that there's like actually people that just run everything, because the problem is like, no matter what, those people are people, and people are dumb
to an extent.
Like,
yeah,
I don't care who you are. Like, nobody could run that flawlessly, and nobody, like, I just think it would be too much. Like, how do you even do that? Like, I couldn't even comprehend. Like, that's just too much.
Well, there's, you know, accidents happen all the time. No, so there are two levels. There's that level, right? But then for me to step it down one and say that like the corporate leaders of the corporate world, like they're all going on retreats together or business. Not, I keep wanting to say luncheon, like get together.
Yeah.
What's it called? Like conferences.
Sure.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where they are talking through and sharing things and stuff like that. It's like, it's a domino effect, right? Like everyone kind of is like, oh, wait and see what happens. Then you have certain leader like, oh, Apple did this in the marketplace, and now everyone follows suit.
Right.
Oh, we could get away with that? Sure, now we do it. And it's the same thing, like everything that happened through COVID, everything that happened, like, so for when we're talking about like sharing expectations or doing the company motto or whatever, you have a lot of companies that are like high profile companies that are either big enough or they don't care about like taking a cost hit, and then they can say like, oh, Google's the best place to work because look at our campus or look at all this stuff. And you have other companies trying to like compete with that, and they can't, so they have to promise all these things that they can't actually deliver on.
I see.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
No, I think that makes sense. I don't know. I believe in like the collective unconscious. It's like these ideas propagate, and like I think it's a snowball effect too, right?
Yeah.
Like it's exponential. Like when ideas catch on, and it's like, because like when you think of humanity as a whole, it's like a big ship, right? And it's really hard to turn a big ship.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Sure. Just like companies.
Right. So like if you have a smaller company, it's just more agile, you can turn, but it's more susceptible. Like you start taking on water, it's easy to sink, right? So it's riskier. Yeah. But if you have like a really large company like ours, it's a big Titanic.
Yeah. It takes a lot to...
Takes one iceberg.
I don't know. I think it's weird that we can't just say, we're here for a paycheck. Like, what is wrong with that? Right? Like, if you have a good work ethic,
right?
Why... Like, would a company rather have somebody that is throwing up company hashtags and like, we love working here, it's the best place, blah, 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 on social media, but like an average to low worker, right? Or like they expect like all these benefits that are like outrageous because they're all, whatever.
Right.
Or would you rather just have a person that's like, look, I'm just going to put my head down. I'm going to give you everything you need from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Like, just like, here's your 40-hour week. And like a very compartmentalized, like, this is work. This is my personal life, whatever. I'll be very nice. I'll be very, like accommodating, different things like that. But like a lot of companies want like that more, like they want it to be like a family and all this other stuff. And like, I could see it both ways, right? So it's like you have people that are, 100% invested. We're doing this together. We're building this company up. But like that doesn't work for massive corporations because you could do that all you want. But then the moment that like you're not needed, right?
Yeah.
Like then the corporation's going to be like, okay, well, we don't need you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, you can be the nicest person, most like biggest cheerleader for the company.
Right. No, I always try to tell people that where it's like your loyalty goes nowhere for like, cause you're literally
which is fine.
It's totally fine. Like you have to understand it from their perspective.
But
like
they can't have it both ways. You can't have that and demand somebody like cheering you on and being like this really like preachy like work at this company. This is amazing and stuff.
Yeah.
Like just be cold about it. Be black and white about it. Be like, this is putting food on my family's table.
Yep.
We can hire and fire you to our whim, just like you can work hard and quit to your whim. I don't know, whatever. But
there's a balance. There's a balance, right?
I don't know.
Like I don't
even know how we got here. We were talking about hookers for a little bit. Strippers. Escorts.
Yeah.
Degrees.
I don't know, man. It's complicated, and this is why I don't run a business because I mean I'm the last person who's qualified to talk about it. But I do wish there was a little bit more transparency because it's like very degrading to hear like all this stuff that they tell you, like, we're doing great, blah, blah, blah. And then like the next day you're laying off 5,000 people.
Right.
And it's like,
for the health of the company.
Look, like, can we just be honest about things? Like, I understand you're like trying to convince your shareholders and stuff, but it's just like, I just hate fakeness.
100%.
And
I mean, look at every game company that laid off how many people over the course of like the last 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, it's a snowball effect.
Like Microsoft laid off how many thousand people? 2,000?
2 or 3, yeah.
Like it was a ton.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing the effects of like it kind of the tech company went through this as well, right? Where it's just kind of this bubble. Yeah. Where they're way overspending because of the pandemic and stuff.
They're just trying a lot of stuff and it's not panning out, and then you gotta.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know, man. It's brutal.
Yeah.
But like, if you think about it too, it's like this stuff's like so new. You know what I mean? Like, think about how long have humans been like working in this capacity, like a office cubicle kind of position. Yeah. Like less than 100 years, right?
Oh, I mean, I don't know about that.
Like 100 years ago would be 1924.
Yeah. You don't think people were in the office 1924? I guess they were doing maybe more factory jobs.
Well, there weren't computers or anything.
Yeah.
I guess so that's like, a good point. There's no cubicle jobs.
Yeah, you could be like an accountant.
Sure.
An artist with your...
I think there's an explosion with technology of like jobs that we know today. Like the standard quote unquote office job, right? Yeah. I don't think that existed back then. I think it was you were very much a specialist, like an accountant or...
That's fair.
In a factory or whatever, right? I just think it's very new.
Yeah.
And people just like, I don't think people were really designed biologically to do this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a really difficult.
I mean, it's not too long till AI just kind of takes a lot of that stuff over. Like I was in meetings all yesterday. Well, not yesterday, this past week. And a lot of it, like you were seeing people's eyes light up. We were talking through like creative AI solutions.
Yeah.
And non-creatives were like, oh, so I could just do this. And it's really easy. And it's just like, I could see wheels turning of like, we don't need creatives, right?
Yeah.
Because we can just have that done.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I accept that. But on the flip side, it could go the opposite way of like, oh, we don't need project managers because AI will just, when you're done with this, you hit a button and it feeds it to the appropriate people and you can kind of like AI. We don't need most people when you really think about it if the AI is properly trained and everything. So it's like we're the bubble hit, everyone's getting laid off, but then like you're gonna have this like people in the AI sector are gonna like start taking off, and like that's just gonna start like
I don't know what the world's gonna look like 25 years from now. It's a scary prospect.
I think my main argument is like when you were saying like, oh, that's why I wouldn't start a company. The reason why I wouldn't start a company is unless it's something like this where it's like, oh, hey, we're trying to get Couch Company off the ground or whatever.
Right.
You know, we both have a vested interest in that we are putting an equal amount of effort in. But you will never find another person that wants the company to succeed as much as you. And it is unfair to expect that from anybody else.
Right.
So I think that's the thing is like as a company leader, like if I was to make a company, people that I would hire, I would go out of my way to say like, look, I understand that this isn't like I'm not saying that you have to love the company as much as me. I'm hiring you for a very specific job that you have to complete to this specification. And if you do it, awesome. We give you money. If you don't do it, you get fired. That's just a very simple black and white like type of thing. And I think over time, like if they do the job and you say like, hey, like true, like in being like genuine, hey, thank you for this work. I really appreciate you doing this. And then you give them fair raises or the company's doing really well. And then, you know, they bump the, like, that's when you say like treating the employees well, that's what you're doing is you're treating them well for the work that they're producing, not you're treating them well for the love of the company. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's kind of my mentality.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's difficult. It's difficult. Obviously. I mean, people are complex and it's like, cause like you want to be kind, you want to give back, but you also don't want to be like condescending about it.
Sure.
Like I can't tell you how many times where the company's quote unquote giving us stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like just the stupidest thing. And like they treat us like third graders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, here's this pin.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really going to help me get through this record inflation. And it's like, but you don't have to give us money.
It's the classic like pizza party and ping pong table.
Right. Like I'm a realist. Like I understand. Like you can't just dole out money because that's what everyone says. Oh, you appreciate me? Give me more money. It's like, that'd be nice, but I understand how businesses work. Like, look, I get it. And people are like, oh, well, you know, the people at the top are making so much. It's like, they are, but you have to like understand that they're taking more of the risk as well, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have ownership in the company, if the company goes under, I lose my job, but like, you know, I go look for another job. But if like I own this company and it goes under, I'm responsible for all the debt. I'm responsible for everything. Like that's a lot of risk.
It would be interesting to be like to be extremely transparent with everything and like make sure every employee at a fundamental level understands where like every dollar goes. Like that would be interesting.
Yeah, but then they'd have to like disclose their secret whiteboard room.
Yeah,
and that would change the course.
Yeah, but that's the only way to get somebody a employee invested in like the actual.
What would you
business.
do if they're like, all right, and then this million's going to our mind control facility?
Look, man, I am a.
They just started disclosing these secret experiments.
I still maintain. If the people that are paying me are blatantly honest, right?
Yeah.
If I got hired at like Amazon,
Okay.
and Amazon brings me into a room and they have all these whiteboards and they're explaining all of their secrets and everything else. And they're like, look, we don't care at all about the customer. This is how we exploit them. This is what we need them to do for us.
Right.
This is how we get our company up. Before I get hired, like as long as like, hey, this is the this is the expectation, then that's 100% on me.
Yeah.
If I'm like, yeah, all right.
Well,
I need money. Sure.
They're not
like,
going to
whatever.
let you leave at that point.
Yeah, well, look, man, it's a tough.
You're working there, buddy.
That's an extreme
I don't know
example, but what I'm saying is like, just don't. My mate and I know we've been talking about this for like a half hour, but don't tell me one thing as like, here are the company goals. This is what we stand for in the public eye, but then all the practices are different. So like, if you're in Amazon, don't be like, oh, we love the customer, we want to serve them and blah, blah, blah. And then on the flip side, it's like you can't have employees go to the bathroom or they have to hit a certain threshold or they have to do that. You know, like it's at odds with each other.
Yeah.
That's the only thing is like be upfront or like be honest. And that's the reason why companies will never actually tell expectations or be honest with the expectations is because they know deep down that their expectations are unrealistic or not good for their workers, that are unsustainable, and they're going to have a high turnover rate. Like, because that's just the truth.
Yeah.
And that's how the company's operating and different things like that. But, you know, no company would do that because then to your point, like you'd never get workers.
Yeah.
So like that, it's not a rocket science. It's not like a huge secret.
Right.
Either tell people the truth and let them decide for themselves, and you know what they're getting into, or actually follow through with your, you know, big business mottos and different things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep bringing up Amazon. That's just an easy target to.
Yeah.
That's just companies in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway.
Yeah, I miss music.
You had a gig. Tell me about the gig. Good transition.
Yeah, it was good. Dude, music, it's like, I don't know, man. Like
You want a beer after that? Do you want coffee? What can I get you?
Sure, whatever you're having.
All
My
right.
trajectory has just been so weird. Like, I've been playing music my whole life, and then I got thrust into the corporate world. I mean, of my own volition, right? Like, it's not like I was forced to, but, you know, I was like considering, what do I want to do with my life? And generally, being a musician, not very profitable, believe it or not, at least at first.
What?
So it's
something
like,
in the arts isn't profitable?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
and I was like, I have an amazing respect for anyone in the arts
Yeah.
who tries to make it, like whatever you're trying to do, right? It's an amazing and fulfilling, but extremely difficult, especially starting out. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I just didn't want to be in that situation where it's like, I don't know where my next paycheck's coming from.
Yeah.
I'm grinding away to try to make a sustainable income and I'm barely scraping by or whatever. So, like, you know, here I am in the corporate world. And it's like, dude, look, I love the steady paycheck. I love knowing I have weekends off.
Yeah.
But it is soulless work, man. Like, they don't need me. They could get rid of me tomorrow and CVS can be fine, man. Like, that's the reality of it. And I'm okay with that. But there's something special about creating something, performing. Like, that's, you know,
Yeah.
I've always been, you know, one to love that kind of, it is a service in a way. Obviously not selfless, of course. I don't think anything really is, but
Right.
I don't know. It's hard to describe, but there's just something about it that's like magical, I guess.
No,
right?
I mean, that's the beauty of creating something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're not doing it on, hold on, we gotta.
Oh, sorry. I think it picked up. Yeah. And
You have to delay it a little bit. You gotta really exaggerate that click. But go on, sorry.
no, there's nothing quite like opening a beer.
At noon.
And yeah, right.
That's one.
I don't know where I'm going with this, but I had a gig the other night, and I always miss playing. Like, every time I have the opportunity to like play somewhere, I just miss it so much. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
it's the best, and I should just do this again, but like there's this balance. I mean, like, look here, I need to like get more into it again because I really don't play as much as I should, but I think it's a nice balance where it's like you can have a steady 9 to 5 and then like have these side things going.
Yeah.
Being able to play every once in a while.
You just have to be like that. It's weird because that almost takes more effort, or more effort's not the right word. I think like dedication or resolve, because when you work like a 9-hour, 8-hour job, the last thing you want to do, like you want to like then relax, or I want to like relax afterwards.
I don't know. I mean, it depends, right? Like it depends how invested you are in it. Like I'm not going to go around grinding for gigs and stuff and trying to do that. Like I'm going to, talk to people, and like luckily I have a lot of friends who are musicians, and that's how I get most of my gigs because they're cool and they're like, hey, we need a guy. And yeah, I'll take it. And it's usually like pretty low stakes. Like I got paid $30. You know what I mean?
Oh, for last night.
Yeah, and a free dinner. It's a very like
okay.
Like, sure. And that's the thing too, Ty. It's like you're starting out. These are the options you have.
How long do you play for?
It was like an hour and
okay,
a half maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's like if you like what you're doing there for 19.
So maybe it was like an hour-ish.
19,
yeah.
What, average 3-minute songs, or are these like?
No, I mean, charts can vary. I mean, yeah, maybe a little longer than that, but
yeah.
But yeah, like that's the reality of the world, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's like, look, this isn't a popular art form, and to get good, high-paying positions, it's
and you do
very
straight
minimal.
Trombone.
Yeah, I just play trombone.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's a cruel world, but it's fine. But I do miss, I don't know, like when you were talking about like school and stuff, I miss school a lot because like that's an environment where money doesn't matter. Like, I mean, like you're paying to go, like, you know what I mean? Where it's like everyone's there has the same goal of trying to improve, trying to be better. And there's not that financial component to get into the way of that in terms of like when you do a concert in school, you're not getting paid for it.
Yeah.
But there's a beauty to that though.
Yeah.
Because everyone's purpose there more or less is pure.
Do you have are you spurred on by other people? Like if you see someone that's like really good, does that deflate you, or does that help like kind of like push you to be like, oh, I gotta be better? For me personally, it depends. Like when I was in school and I saw the grad students, it helped me because I was like, oh man, they're really good. Like I could be there one day, right? I could aspire to that. Yeah. But if there's like a prodigy who's like my age or younger than me, who's like playing circles around me, it's like shit. Yeah. I'm terrible. Yeah.
That's music.
That's why I didn't like painting or like doing all the art stuff. Yeah. Is because it's like, I feel like deep down, like what your threshold is typically. I'm not saying you can't surpass things and whatnot, but the thing that always killed me in school was like, you're paying how many thousands upon thousands of dollars per credit, right? Just to get through to essentially get a job, which is really tough in the art space because it's either you're taking something like music or you're doing something like, and that's why I got out of animation, because it's like very few people are like, oh, this is a good animator. You're going to move to California or Florida or whatever, and you're going to do this thing.
Right.
In my mind, it's like, what can I be good at? Where like, if you look around your competition, it's like, okay, I feel like I'm above average here. I'm getting crushed here. And then I kind of like did a more practical thing. So while like I really loved a certain field, I think practically I'm like, do I love it enough to just get smacked around? Like, it didn't come effortlessly. And then I guess there's some rewarding part of it with it, like, trying to get better. But I could do something that I'm like, I mean, not to sound full of myself, but like, I feel like I'm above average in other areas where I'm like, oh, I could just go here, really take off, and then like carve out my own little space and stuff. But yeah, for music, I'm sure that's like,
well, you have options in music as well, right? Like you might be a really good composer or arranger. Like a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot, but like you can get really good at arranging music, for like elementary bands or like high school bands. Like my director in college, he was like a master at this. Like he was so good at taking a tune, arranging it for like a high school big band, and like he made a lot of his money this way. Yeah. Like he's known as like a guy who is like, and it's amazing watching him work too, because like he just does it so quickly. Like he's just a pro. So it's like, I mean, like you can play, you can teach, there's different components. Like some of my friends are in therapy. Music therapy is like a growing field, which is really interesting. So there are options. I mean, not limitless options, but it's, whenever you're in the arts, it's all about being creative, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but like uniquely creative. Like you have to be creative, but then there's that extra level of you have to be somewhat novel to then put yourself apart from everything else.
Yeah, but it's interesting though, because like you see, especially in the modern age, like people are combining different, like, you have a firm understanding of the internet and YouTube and this and that. And you can put yourself in there or TikTok or whatever. Like there are people on there that are musicians that have big channels, and it's like they're analyzing video game music or they're playing renditions of movie music or whatever, right? And it's like a popular thing. So it's all about that. I was never that creative where I could like envision like something that doesn't exist or something that would set myself apart in terms of that, right? And it's difficult. I'm
like, is it almost, and I could be way off base, but like I feel like if you're a creative, it's not enough. Like you're never gonna like go to school, be a creative, and you're like, I just want to be a grunt in like Pixar. I'm going back to animation, but it's like I just want to be a grunt in Pixar. I just want to do this. Like it's always like, you find your niche, but like you want to be the best at something. You want to be like, be, oh, hey, go to this guy. Like he is really good at environments, or he's really good at their trombone or something like that. So it's like, it's really tough because I feel like we're just hardwired to want to become that guy or girl or whatever, but it's just like, I think
that's the beauty of being in the creative field though. Like that's why, like you almost have to have that mindset.
But everyone's that, like it's
it
weird,
is, but
that's
like why
everyone's that way.
That's why art's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's why it'll always continue to push forward, because people who are that creative type, who are in that space, all think like that.
Yeah.
They all think differently, of course, which is another beauty of it, but they all like want to be the guy who's making the next Toy Story, or like the guy who's conducting the, I want to be the conductor of the New York Phil, like whatever you want to do.
Or they always found some new, like,
aspire.
Like here's a better way to do smoke.
Sure. Like, but that's, that's amazing. That's why art will always be incredible and always continue to push forward in my mind.
Yeah.
Where it's like, cause you have that human spirit behind it. Right. Mm-hmm. It's similar to technology, right? Like where people just aspire to do the next big thing or have the next big creation or whatever, right? So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with any of this, but I had a gig. I guess every time I play, I always think about that stuff, and I always like contemplate like what I'm doing with my life. And
but
everything like that.
It spurs you on a little bit.
It does. Guess, and I mean, I don't know. The gig was okay. Like the band's like not good at all.
Yeah.
That's
actually shy. Like, I mean, for an hour maybe I could see that, but were you doing it as a favor, or it was just like they were doing it
for fun?
Just go out and
Oh yeah, no. I like continuing to play. Like, dude, I've been playing my whole life, like since 4th grade, so like most of my life. Mm-hmm. So it's like it would be a shame if I didn't keep that in my life somehow. And I don't know, man. It's really hard to put in words. I probably sound like a rambling lunatic who doesn't know what he's talking about, but you get into this state, like when you're playing, right? Mm-hmm. Especially like in jazz, man, because this was like we had a big band, and everything just locks up, right? Everything's in sync. Like you're in the pocket. which means like you're right.
I watched Justin Bieber's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see that? There was like a video going around where he was with like some like orchestra.
Yeah.
And was just making a song with them.
Oh,
so he was like singing something. It was like, hey, can you do something like this? And then the violins start going and all this stuff. And he's just like, okay, like get in the pocket. And like, he was like, it was kind of cool. Like I wanted to send it to you. Like, hey, this guy, he knows
Justin,
some terms.
No, he's not bad actually. But anyways, there's there's this state of Zen. It's amazing. I don't know, man. It's like there's nothing else like it.
I'm super excited. I just got a new team member, and he's going through like a course right now through Google on doing so. And another team member just went through it, and that was some of my favorite time in recent work memory.
Yeah,
of going through something that was just like all theoretical, just talking design and user experience and coming up with ideas and solving problems and stuff like that. Like, I love that so much. Like that is leaps and bounds better than any other type of, I mean, obviously like my job's fine. I like my job and whatnot. So if anyone's listening, I like my job. But there's a very big difference between like managing process and is this the right image? Is this not the right image and stuff with an email versus like, hey, how do you break the rules? Hey, what's a new way of looking at something, a fresh slate, clean slate, and then just talking through stuff without any like, is this the right or wrong choice? It's just bouncing ideas off each other. Like that type of creativity is always my favorite.
Yeah.
Where like if I was going to do something, I would love to like go and look for, art director is a wrong word, but just like almost like a consultant type of thing. Right. Of just like, oh, hey, have you thought about this? Oh, what are you trying to solve? Like, what if we went this way or something? Like, I don't know. I think that's where my passion is right this second anyway.
Yeah. But that's awesome, man.
I don't know. Anyway, what are we talking about?
I don't even know, dude. I was just kind of rambling, just like searching for my purpose in the world.
Almost in the house, and we'll have our little space. I got a carpet. I bought a rug for us, so we should, in theory, be able to record at the house next week or next session, I guess.
No, that's exciting.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna do our little thing that we want to do.
Yeah,
but we can at least
still do that though. We also need to have Jeff back on. He keeps reminding me that we were supposed to have him on.
For what? For the World of Warcraft stuff?
No, for
your music.
My music lesson.
I gotta listen to that with my headphones.
Did you not listen to it yet?
My problem is I do, but ever since I did that for the game soundtracks, and I put my AirPods in, closed my eyes, and just listened purely to it.
Yeah,
that was such a otherworldly experience. Might be an exaggeration, but I enjoyed that so much.
Yeah,
that I keep trying to do that with the what's the fifth or whatever
Shostakovich, his Fifth Symphony.
Yeah, and I keep falling asleep. I can't make it all the way through.
Yikes!
It's so good, and then I just I just
die.
Yeah, like I'm super into it, and then I lose consciousness. So it's not like boring. It's just like it's so good. I pass out.
Fair.
Yeah, I had such a bad dream last night where I kept thinking that I was in college, right? But not like my college, just like, oh, you missed a report in English class. Oh, you were late here. Oh, you failed this.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't. Like, just the anxiety and stuff. And the problem, I have this dream fairly reoccurringly. Like quarterly. But
schedule it in.
But the problem with this specific dream is, like you wake up, like if somebody's chasing you, ready to murder you, you either get murdered or you get away, you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh. And you go back to sleep and you're fine.
Yep.
With this dream, I always wake up, I always go back to sleep, and I go right back into
the
same dream. And it's just like, oh, you thought you got away? Nah, you got an F on this now too.
Dude, you know what's been happening to me? I've been having these bad dreams, and usually I'm getting chased, which I think I've talked about before. Yeah. And if you ever fake waked up, you thought you wake up, and you're still in a dream.
Yeah.
That's the worst, dude.
Yep.
I woke up, and I thought I was awake, and I get out of bed. I'm like, because like usually when I wake up from a bad dream like that, I go downstairs, I get some water, kind of reset.
Little inception.
Which you should do, by the way, because like
get water.
No, you should get out of bed and walk around and actually wake up a little bit.
Yeah,
because you're in a specific stage of sleep. And if you go right back to bed, you're going to still be in that stage, which is your dreaming cycle or whatever, which is probably why you enter that dream again. But if you reset yourself and you fully wake up, you probably won't enter that dream again because you have to go through.
It sounds really lazy. We have to barricade ourselves in our room.
Yeah.
Because the door doesn't latch and the cats get in. So it's always a pain in the ass. Like if I want to get up and like walk around, I have to like unbarricade and do everything. And I'm just like, I'll just go back to bed. Anyway.
That's fair. So I'm being chased as always. And I wake up, what I think is waking up. And I go like downstairs. And the person is down there waiting for me, bro. I was like, fuck.
That's terrifying.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible. I was in a sweat. And then I really woke up, but I didn't know if I was awake.
Yeah. And then
for like a second, and you're like...
Have you ever done the whole wake up, but you can't move? Like the whole
sleep paralysis? All the time.
See, I never got that.
It happens to me all the time.
It terrifies me.
It's very weird, too, because I go deaf and mute.
Okay.
Like I remember specifically, like one of the first times it ever happened to me that like sticks in my memory is we were going to go to Kennywood, which is a theme park near us. For those who don't know what Kennywood is, but we were going to go to Kennywood, and like I wake up on Saturday morning and I just cannot move at all. Like I'm completely paralyzed and I'm trying to scream for help and I can't. I just go mute. But then my hearing just cuts out. And I'm just hearing like ringing, and it's exactly nightmare.
So you hear ringing.
Yeah.
I can't fathom what actual like true deafness is, because like even if you like plug your ears or do everything, like you always have some sound, right? Like either like you can feel your
I don't think there is true deafness, right?
I don't know. I'm.
Oh, I guess. Well,
you would think
that's a good
if your ears don't work,
because like when there are like sensory deprivation rooms or whatever.
Yeah.
Where you can't hear anything or see anything, you start going crazy. It's actually pretty wild.
Yeah,
you get sick. Like it's bad. But people who are in there, you hear your own heartbeat, obviously, but you get to the point where you hear yourself blinking. You hear your blood moving through your body.
That's what I mean.
It gets crazy because like your ears are fascinating. Like they're like searching for signals. They're searching for output from other places. So it's like, I don't know, what's something that does that too? Like, I guess like searching for Wi-Fi or something where it doesn't find anything and then it expands the search.
Yeah, it gets more and more sensitive and stuff.
And then you start hearing your
it's like a
cells
camera,
multiplying or something.
Yeah.
It's like crazy. I don't think I could ever do one of those rooms. I think I would love to lose my mind.
I'm like just morbidly curious. But then, like,
scares the hell out of me.
You think about like people that are just like, oh yeah, when you're dead, you're just dead. It's just nothingness, and it's like, yeah, but then that's it, right? Like, it's like,
yeah, I can't comprehend that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think about that sometimes. Which again, like when you're a kid, you never think about that stuff.
No,
But at some point, we were like, shit, what happens when I die?
Yeah,
it's like, when was that? I don't know, man. It's like so weird, and now it's like, sometimes I just sit in bed and I'm like, dude, what if my heart just stops right now? Like that could happen.
I feel like this is kind of weird because it's very, very, very unlikely that I will ever be off of Earth, right? Like I'm never going to leave the planet.
Right.
But deep down, like, you know how like just deep down you always have these certain feelings, like I'm the main character of the story. Oh, I'm different than everybody else, like whatever.
Sure.
One of my deep down feelings is that like, oh, I can't wait to view Earth from like orbit.
Oh, really?
And I can't explain it. Like, it's like there are certain things that you're just like certain of, even though you know it's like, I know this isn't true. But in my mind,
I don't know if that's the case, man.
I don't know.
Like, think about it. Like 40 years from now, you'll be like 60 something.
40? Buddy, I'll be 75.
How old are you?
35.
Okay. 75.
You'll be 65.
I don't know. I was
Sure.
trying to be helpful.
Rub it in. That's fine.
I'm not rubbing it in. I was trying to be helpful.
Dude, we'll be on season 44.
Yeah, right. Anyways, life expectancy has to be better by then, theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically, if I actually took care of myself, which I should.
Yeah, but you'll have a pill to fix any ailment,
There you
right?
go. Yeah.
You'd have to think that in 30, 40 years...
Or VR is just good enough that...
No, but like that might be more attainable.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I can't explain it. There are just certain things that like...
You just know you're going to do.
Or I feel like, and this gets really weird, I feel like I've already done it. I just haven't experienced it yet.
That's weird.
And it's not the right way of describing it, but that's the only way I know how to.
I don't have that at all.
I'm
the opposite.
I have it all the time.
I'm searching like for what I'm supposed to do. And I have this conversation all the time. And people like it's actually really interesting to me that like people will disagree vehemently with because like I believe everyone has a purpose.
Yeah.
More or less. Now, whether they follow that purpose or not, I don't know. Like, does everyone do what they're supposed to, quote unquote, do? Are they even supposed to do anything? But kind of like your theory where everyone's like the best at something.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone has a purpose in terms of like, eventually computers will be so good at determining like brain composition and desires and things like that, that like this guy would be the best firefighter based off his build and wants and needs and likes and dislikes or whatever, right?
Yeah, like what gives you dopamine, what gives you like what gives you the most
like,
pleasure and
like I don't know. It kind of goes back to Einstein wanted an equation to solve the universe, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like, and maybe it'll never happen because the universe is ever expanding and it's so complex and there's too many variables. But I feel like eventually, given infinity, like you would solve the universe. Everything would be like for example, tic-tac-toe is a solved game, right? Like you know every move. There's only so many permutations where you can always draw or win depending on like what happens, right? Chess theoretically is also a solvable game, although there are so many permutations that we are not there yet. Even supercomputers have not solved chess.
Right. Yeah.
So like life itself, way more complex, but you would think there's only so many moves that you can make, even in life.
Well, it's like that digital library I was telling you about, where like every combination of letter is in that library. Right. So when you really think about it, and this gets kind of spooky, where it's like, okay, how am I gonna I get hit by a train? That's how I die. That's not right. Good. But the combination of letters that says Tyler DeFazio was hit by the train on May 26th, 2080.
Yep.
That exists. It's like, that's crazy that like every possible thing, because it's just a math problem, right? Like it's just like, okay, here's every possible thing you could possibly do.
What about words that don't exist yet though?
Well, that exists because it's
every letter.
It's every letter. It's every combination of letter. So every nonsensical thing, like chogi or whatever what's the Gen Z word thing or whatever? I don't know.
What
is it? Chogi? Chewy?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. Gen Z has some words
so
that
they do. They have a couple.
I've been watching Bible. Gen Z Bible stuff is so funny. Like I want to buy it, but there's so many different variations of it. I'm like, whatever.
That is funny.
But like all of that exists, and it's just like,
so John becomes Flubel in 2025.
I could type that in, and it would literally pull up the. It's like broken out into like different libraries and shelves and books and whatever. But like it would give you the seed. It would show you exactly where it's located. And then you could copy and paste that anywhere. And it's just like, billions upon billions of combinations.
Yeah.
But that exists. It exists.
That's
and
crazy.
Not just that, but it's every date and time and however specific you want to be. Like it's mind boggling because it's purely just.
So it has digits as well?
I don't know if it has digits. You'd have to spell out the numbers. But the thing is, it's not an infinite number of letter combinations. At some point, there is a finite number because there's a limit. Like,
well,
there's a limited
once you
number
get into numbers, though, that gets tricky.
I should say there's kind of, but letter-wise, there's not. So like you can, yes, it's like infinite in the way that like
that's right.
You could type it out, but
oh man, I guess there's a point in which we don't have a word for a particular number, right?
I don't know how that works.
I don't know how far, because we can't have a number for every number.
Yeah,
because there's infinite numbers. So how far do we have?
Yeah, to the 10th power, to the whatever. Yeah.
Man. All right, my brain's breaking. But
now, obviously, that stuff hasn't been like uttered, right? So, because like you would think, technically, the Bible is there. Like it's already spelled out. It's already written. It's already there, you know. So like every new Twilight book that's to come or new Hunger Games book is like pre-written.
Which is
no one knows
and
that.
This is the problem with AI, because if it's all there, now AI's job is to use that, and like just AI just has to determine in what order do I need to put this to make the best product or complete my goal.
Yeah, and it's not even the best product. It's just what will sell the best or what will do.
Right.
You know.
So if you input, make a new Twilight book, make a sequel. Now it's going to like what's the formula for the first ones, right?
Yeah.
Because at some point you can break it down into this is why this was successful. You have that's bad.
I know.
That's bad for us artists.
I know.
By the way.
I know.
Because you can do that with anything.
Yeah.
You're like, make another Count Basie tune.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's this isn't what the digital library, but it's like, here's every Count Basie chart he ever wrote. Here's his tendencies. Here's
it's the
what
George
chord
Carlin
progressions
special.
he likes. Yeah, but it's going to get better.
Exactly.
It's going to get better.
That's the thing is every time we're in a AI meeting, it's always, this is just a tool. This is just a tool to help.
Right.
Oh, you have writer's block? That's fine. Here's a tool that will help you get over that. It's like, no. It's a tool for this 1 second in human history.
Right.
And then second number 2, we don't need you anymore.
Yeah, but I'm still not convinced that these AIs are going to be sentient.
I'm not saying they're sentient. I'm just saying that they will be like, human, and this is kind of, I think, where you and I differ, but I don't think humans are just this like infallible, like at some point we will not be able to overcome the creativity of an AI.
Right.
Is my hypothesis.
Sure.
Right. Like I think that eventually something is so good, something is so like just incomprehensible that like the robots will do that. And then it's up to us to figure out like, okay, well, what else do we do with our life?
Well, here's what's interesting is like, would AI inspire humanity to get better? Like, what is the pinnacle of humanity? Like, what is our limit? Like, because
getting off Earth to colonize the space would be the pinnacle. I would think would be to become effectively like type.
I think that's like one aspect of it, but it depends like what field you're talking about. Like in terms of creative, like what is our limit? Like we've always been progressing since we've formed, right? So we really don't know where our ceiling is, and yeah, it's probably impossible to catch AI and stuff, but does that enhance our ability? Like, does that give us new ideas to, I
don't know.
I mean, either.
If at some point everything, very much like the words and whatnot, like if everything is just kind of like pre-done, like it's just like, oh, I had a really good idea. I want to take egg yolk and mix it with, I don't know, milk from a platypus and turn it into a painting or something. I don't know where. That was weird. Sorry.
Egg yolk.
But like an AI would be like, yeah, no, we did that. We actually did it with every species of this and all this other stuff. And it's just like, it's just the volume, I think, is what kills it. And then like what I think would happen is we put this artificial value on art. So I'm not saying like artists would be gone per se, but if we were honest with ourselves, it's not that like Picasso was that much better than AI Picasso. It's just the fact that this was a human created thing versus like a manufactured thing. And we will put this artificial like, oh, well, this was done by the actual person. But then it's almost like this was done by this primitive artist over this AI generated whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's like this weird dystopian thing that like, it's not going to stop. Like companies are too greedy. Right. It's pure greed. But like, I don't know. But do we have to?
Is it like, do we live in a world where like everything is taken care of and we just do our own thing?
Yeah, but like, what is our own thing? You know what I mean? Like, I think that ultimately that's going to be.
Like it's the whole universal income thing where it's like you just get paid to do whatever you want to pursue.
Yeah, which sounds awesome, but and this goes back to kind of the creation part of it, is like if everything is already done, if you could have everything you wanted, if it's all thought, it's already pre-done, like what would you do? Then it becomes less of a I'm creating this for other people, and it's more of I'm just doing this for myself. So it's like
I would love to continue the couch company, and then we input into AI like what's the top 5X, and then we argue against that.
It's just like fight
even
with
though it gives us a complete factual reason why it's like like this is the best, or like we plugged it in like who's the top 5 fictional dads. And Marlon comes up number 1 in the AI, and I just gloat in your face for 2 hours.
I will,
and just read the whole description on why this clownfish is statistically or factually the greatest.
Yeah, like 8 billion people were polled based off of their brain chemistry, and this is the definitive one.
Here's what, by definition, makes a great father.
Yeah,
and Marlon just displays.
I mean, there would be a thing where like eventually it'd be like based off of either just direct information or probability or whatever. It's like, we think you are ranked this in this area of life, or this in, of all the trombone players in the world, here's where you are. Like, that information could be
sure. I
available.
would like better, like, out of every human, you are this good at trombone. That would feel a little better.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'd feel the top 1% or something.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that'd make me feel good.
Like, does that turn into like heaven basically? Like, would it just be a digital created heaven?
My ongoing theory right now is that we are in the very beginning of time, and eventually we are the only sentient species in the universe. And we will eventually populate the entire universe.
Yeah.
But it will take trillions of years. And we're just living in the first 0.0 to the millionth power 1% of time.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that.
I don't know. Maybe there are aliens and stuff out there, but I just that's my ongoing theory.
When you think about that stuff, it's like you can't. I've been watching videos of like what happens when the moon crashes into the earth.
Yeah,
because that's what I like to watch before I go to bed.
Yeah, that's terrifying. And why you wonder why you have nightmares?
I know. Well, it's just like that. It's just like talk about feeling so small. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say insignificant, but just like small. Like where it's just like, okay, well, like if one Texas asteroid hits the world, it just over. Ends us.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well,
if the world stopped, we'd all die.
Yeah. Well, that's like, I was watching a video of like space and time in all perspective and different things like that. And I forget he's a famous astrophysicist or something. But he was like, yeah, you bounce a ball, it comes back to your hand. It's like, okay, hey, you bounce the ball. It took a second to get there or whatever.
Right.
But in that second, the Earth technically moved 18 miles.
Yeah.
So it's like when you bounced it, it wasn't in the same time and space.
Yeah.
From our perspective, it was. But if you take it a step back, no. And then could you take it a step further back from even that? So like just pulling it out of the Earth, you're watching the Earth go around 18 miles in a second, and then it's like you go back even further, and it's like, what is it like? Oh, every second is like
the
a
Milky
year
Way
or whatever. Yeah,
moving.
Yeah. It's just like
we're on the bus,
point.
dude.
Yeah,
it's like the Einstein bus thing. Like if you have a bus traveling at the speed of light, the relative motion in the bus is normal.
Yep,
because it's a consistent. Now, if you have deceleration or acceleration, you're fucked.
Dude,
but if it's a consistent speed,
yeah,
it's just amazing. It's a miracle. But life is a complete and utter miracle to me.
Right.
Which is why my gut feeling is that there has to be a higher power, because it just seems too perfect.
But like, what is the higher power? I think
it could be anything, right?
Like,
yeah, that means different things to who you ask, right?
But
for sure.
But you would offend. Like, the thing that kind of kills it for me is if I said that God was just like, let's call it an alien.
Yeah.
Like, I would get like my mother would be very, very disappointed. Like, it was like, well, no, this is it, like God created the heavens and yeah, but like couldn't like that could be the same thing. I'm not saying that's what I believe, but like
what we were taught a vehicle to understand stuff that is incomprehensible,
and to not be able to talk through it or theorize or just like, you know, like if our God is a type, I keep saying 7, I don't know if that's right, but like a type 7 civilization where it's like, okay, they can, you know, you can travel through time and space and then all this other stuff, like whatever.
Yeah, right.
It's like, is that sacrilege? Is that something that is like you're actively going against a specific faith? Or is it so condensed that it's just like, no, we just happen to have life on this world because God put this here, and then as we're living, these books were written, and it's just so small. Because like, if you go from a biblical standpoint, the universe is extremely tiny, right? Like, it feels like the earth is the center of everything. Like, we are the center of everything. It's this thing. And it's such a weird thing to then have that perspective and have the perspective of, we can see 13.8 billion years in the quote unquote past because we're seeing light from that long ago,
right?
With this, you know, telescope or whatever. I don't know where it's going with that, but it's mind boggling, and to not discuss it or think about it or to be like vilified to even just say like, okay, if we try to take biblical perspectives of, if you want to call it revelation or just throughout history, and put that in a scientific space vision, right? And like Justin was on when we were talking about pyramids and stuff. And it's just like, you try to combine the two or talk about these civilizations. It's like, I don't know. It's just like, you're crazy theories and tinfoil hat people. It's
I think
it's fun to experiment and understand.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's important to have that discussion, right?
Yeah.
Because like, if everything's just agreed upon, right? Like, I think progress dies. There always needs to be discourse and conventions. Now, I think it's important to establish some fundamental things that we can all agree on, because like, if you like, on the flip side, it's bad, I think, when people not question everything, but like try to go against everything, like combative against everything. Like, I think we have a fundamental understanding of like how physics works based on like what we've observed, and that can always change based on new evidence. But like, this is pretty tested stuff. Like, we understand what gravity is. We know more or less how time works. You know what I mean?
Or how it should.
Yeah. Right? So it's like, or like, you know, when people say like the Earth's flat, it's like, okay, like this isn't helpful.
Yeah.
Like, there's better conversations we can have.
Yeah.
With you know what I mean?
I guess, like, yes. And I'm not saying I believe the Earth is flat, although I do love
flat Earth,
jumping into that camp. It's still, at the end of the day, you're still trusting other people. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, you're not.
For sure. But I guess my point is, you have to have faith in something, or else progress also stops. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, because then you just get caught up in the minutia detail.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, if we can't agree whether the Earth is round or flat, we can't have broader discussions
just
about
have shuttles going up to outer space. Be like, see, it's round. All right, coming back
next
down.
One. Yeah. See, but even then, it's like, oh, you knocked me out and projected a dreamlike scenario. Like, it's like, you can deny anything.
Yeah.
You can literally deny anything till you're dead.
It's fair.
you have to have faith. You have to have faith at some point in your life in something.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. It's like, you know what I mean? So
you have to believe it or you don't. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. I think that everything, like,
like at some point you're gonna, I don't know, take an Uber, and you have to have faith that guy's gonna drive you somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Like if you don't have faith in anything,
yeah,
you're gonna sit at home. You're not even gonna do that because you're not gonna have faith in your own body to supply oxygen to your brain.
Well, now you're yeah, sure.
It's like, at the root level.
Yeah.
You have to have faith.
People are hypocrites.
I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
It just that like if you go too far in that direction, it really upsets me because it's like, okay, look, we can't have a conversation because you think everything's a conspiracy theory. You think everything is like whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, I mean, I like having interesting conversations about things.
I think if we were honest with ourselves, I think a lot of the stuff that we think and theorize and everything, we would be way more disappointed than we would probably be. But then like other things, we would be like more shocked than we've ever, like it's.
Yeah, it goes back to like the shadow organization that you're talking about. Like everything is run by like.
Yeah.
I just don't have faith in people. Like people are just not efficient enough to do that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's like
I can't believe.
I'm not saying it's a well-oiled machine. I'm just saying that like.
But they have it to have the claims that you're having where they run everything and nobody knows. They would have to be so well organized and efficient to keep to be in the dark about all this stuff. That I just don't believe that's possible.
I don't know. Like I think it's there if you want to care about it, and I think that people are vilified and called crackpots, right? Like I'm not saying I believe every conspiracy theory ever, but I'm saying that I without a doubt believe that there have been plenty of conspiracy theories that have been thrown away and people are just like dismissive of them or whatever. And some ludicrous dude like, oh, the JFK, blah, 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 9/11, like whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I believe in all those, but one of those crazies that were like just dismissed probably got it 100% right.
Well, there have been things that have come out throughout the course of history that is like, oh, this isn't what they told us it was or whatever, right?
Right. But that's the point.
But I think that given enough time, those things do come out.
Sure. But in the meantime, people are
like, what are they going to be saying about our year?
Whatever.
Sure,
yeah.
That's fair.
And
I
then
mean,
people
maybe I'm
will be
wrong.
like, oh, I knew it all the time, or I never.
I don't know.
Like,
I'm just going off my gut instinct. I'm some schmo.
I'm
doesn't
just
know
saying,
anything, man.
I think the media and I think social media have so much power on the course.
Yeah, but that's so known.
That's my point.
That's known.
That's my point, though, is it's known and it still works flawlessly because they dictate what the masses talk about and how we jump from crisis to crisis and the all-seeing eye just keeps like.
Do you think that that's the same conversation we're having with the workplace, though? Where it's like, oh, we say we want transparency, we say we want unbiased news, but we still buy into it.
Like, what do you mean?
Like when companies are giving you all the BS about like,
yeah, but
we're this and that,
right?
And whatever, and it's like,
how many?
Maybe they do that because it works.
Well, exactly. No, it 100% does.
Yeah,
I'm
so
just saying, like,
people say they want different.
Yeah, but
do they actually?
Well, yeah.
Do they like
that's for
being led
each
by the shepherd
person? Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
No, that's a very good point. It's to each his own.
I think people have the power. I learned this in 3rd grade. If you have enough people, you can't get in trouble. Mm-hmm. I learned this in 3rd grade when we had a food fight in the cafeteria.
Sure.
Okay.
Look at Texas.
No, but you can't suspend all of us.
Yeah.
You can't do it because you need the people.
Yeah.
You need the masses. If you have enough, you can get away with anything. So it's like
Kyle was sending me texts about Texas last night because I was like, oh, what's happening in Texas? Because I knew that they brought in the National Guard for like to close off the borders and stuff.
Right.
But then like the federal government was like, no, we need access. And Texas was like,
nope.
Nah.
Yeah. But it's like
and the Supreme Court was like, no, we need access. And they're like, okay, no. And
crazy.
There's so many memes out there and stuff, but you're 100% right. It's just like if a big enough group is just like, no, like people don't know how to like.
Well, that's why I'm a proponent of the free market, because like at the end of the day, the consumer has the power. If you have enough people stop using Amazon, they have to change or die, right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
But that's the difficult part is
there's not enough people that
will do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like consumers, at the end of the day, you guys have the power.
And it's different for each person.
Right.
Right. Like, or each, I should say company, not person, but like. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's like my thought. Third grade, man, it was eye-opening. I was like, damn, they can't.
Yeah.
Like if I started throwing popsicles at people, I'd get suspended.
But if everyone
was involved, it was a beautiful moment where what are they going to do? They sit us down, they lecture us. You're not going to send us all home. That closes the school.
What happens if everyone, like as you're getting lectured, threw popsicles at the lecturer?
I don't know.
Oh man.
But that's a beautiful
There's
thought.
a universe where
that happens.
That happened.
Yeah.
And it happens every day.
On loop, because there's time dilation.
Yeah, where like the principal is wearing some sort of like popsicle specific armor so he doesn't get sticky and cold.
Yeah, but there's infinite universes where every like his or her tie is a different color.
Yeah. Or where like
it's the same scene, but it's just a different color tie.
Or like popsicles, like if it touches skin, it just goes right through it. I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, we're an hour and 16 minutes in with our
16.
16.
Oh, I thought you said 60.
1 hour, 60 minutes, 2 hours of crazy talk.
Okay, sorry, it was a big.
No, it's all good.
Rabbit hole, but
I have time stamps now, so people can kind of jump around.
Yeah, that was a quite the.
There's going to be some. Yeah, we'll see.
I feel like we were due for a
ramble.
A
little ramble.
Okay, so we did want to talk about Tekken.
Yeah.
Tekken 8 came out. Tyler has beat the campaign, but is
short campaign.
Refrain from talking about it because I haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
But I did watch half of the video he wanted me to watch.
Do you have the guy's name? I gotta call him out because he's actually quite good. I can bring it up real fast.
Yeah, I mean it should be right on my phone here, but
yeah, I mean if you have it, awesome.
Yeah, it's Clement J64, CLEMENT J64.
Very well done video.
The insane lore of Tekken.
How long is it?
It is 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 28 seconds.
Yeah.
So I got to Tekken 4, so I got through the first 3.
Yeah.
I'm like halfway through, approximately. It's pretty good. Like the video, like Tyler said, it's like pretty very well done video, I should say. And I was pretty invested to the point where I was trying to push back our podcast time so I could finish it, but alas, I couldn't do it. But yeah, I really my initial thoughts is I really like what's his name? Paul
Phoenix.
Phoenix is great.
Yeah.
Like this guy is just like, and he's just a normal guy. Mm-hmm. American, and he didn't even say like what his background was, like what his occupation was, because like the Bruce Lee guy is like some chef or something.
He has a dojo and a restaurant. Yeah,
but like Paul Phoenix is just a guy.
Yeah, well he also has a dojo.
Okay,
I don't know if he always had it.
Yeah,
that might be like a Tekken 5 thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
in the first 3, like he was like going through the backgrounds of like, oh, these two twin sisters or assassins or something, and Kuma was raised by Heihachi to fight, which is great. Like Kuma's the best.
Yep.
It's just a bear.
Kuma means bear in Japanese.
Yeah, Kuma means bear in Japanese.
Yeah.
And Paul Phoenix is just a guy.
Yep.
And I think he in Tekken 8 is voiced by Garen. I think I was telling you that. Because he's the guy on the bike and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's voiced by Garen.
Okay.
In League, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I
literally can't not hear that, but
they really didn't like. He's always been kind of goofy, but like they kind of made him weird. Yeah.
Well, I guess like the trajectory that I was seeing, like he was pretty serious.
Yeah.
In the beginning with tinge of goofiness.
Yeah.
But he kind of became a caricature of himself.
Yeah, because he technically like won 3.
Yeah.
And he defeated Ogre, then True Ogre pops out, and he left beforehand, and they were like, oh, he disqualified.
He's pretty old, though.
Yeah, he's like 60 now or something. Yeah.
Because, like, in 2 to 3, there's like an 18-year time jump, because that's like what you were talking about with, like, oh, it's just everyone's kid or whatever, like being the same character.
Yep.
And they do some weird stuff with, like, people were in cryo sleep, or, like, there's a new king or something, and he's just the same guy. He's like 60. He's like 60.
Yeah, I think the original king was the first one that Ogre killed and took his like chi.
Yeah, original king dies, and then there's Armored King, which is a different guy.
Yeah, like a mentor,
which is weird.
And then he has a brother. I don't know if you got to that point yet.
King has a brother?
No,
New King. Armor King has a brother.
So it's like you have Armor King, and then Marduk was like in a bar and got into a bar fight, killed somebody.
Who's Marduk?
I think you're coming to. I think that's a. Actually, no, it should be Tekken 4. So you might learn who that is soon.
Okay.
Killed a dude in the bar. Turns out to be Armor King. So then King is going after Marduk in Tekken 4.
No.
And then all this shit happens, and then eventually Armor King gets killed. But then you find out, wait a minute, there's another Armor King. Like, it's just like there's always
a guy,
something. Yeah. Because it was like the end of like King's arcade. I forget which one. Maybe like let's call it like 5 or 6. He accidentally drops a picture frame and it shatters. And then there's a secret picture underneath it. Yeah. It's dumb, but I love it. It
is funny.
It's pretty good.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it just boggles my mind how Tyler hates anime, and this is the most.
Tekken 8 is the most anime. I'm not spoiling anything. It is, it's like by far more anime than any other Tekken game. Like it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, when I saw a fish rocket launcher from Kuma,
that's fair. Yeah.
We kind of knew what we were in for.
Yeah.
Well, that was in his trailer.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, in actual gameplay.
Oh, it's like his finishing move, right? Yeah. Anyways, so where was I going with that? I don't know.
So the history of 4.
Yeah, I'm at Tekken 4. I kind of, have some of the people that I like. Kuma's awesome. Yeah. And Paul Phoenix is great. And King's great too, but he's not as cool as I thought he was. He just like runs an orphanage. But I do like that the new king was one of the kids in the orphanage, and he grew up to avenge it. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
I always like that kind of story. And then the Kazamas are all crazy. And
the Mishimas.
Because Kama's is his first name, sorry.
Yeah.
Japan does a weird where like their last name's first and then their first
names.
Well,
the two, so you have Mishima and you have Kazama. And Kazama is like...
Oh, Mishima's a different last name?
Yeah.
Oh, that's June?
Correct. No, so Heihachi and Kazuya are Mishimas.
Okay.
Jin Kazama.
Kazama got. Oh, yeah.
Which apparently had a kid with Kazuya, so like they were fine at some point.
Yeah, right.
And then Jin Kazama.
Yeah,
and that's how that works.
Okay. Sorry, there's a lot of names trying to.
But
keep them all straight.
It's always.
So
Kazuya.
June's in this one, so I'm actually like curious because like he said in one of them that like she never returned. Because this video came out a year ago, before Tekken 8, obviously. So I guess like when we saw her in the trailer, that was probably a big moment. Like, oh.
It's referenced multiple times that she was killed. So I'll just leave it at that.
Right. So, but that's what I'm saying. Like people are like, oh, they're going to bring her back. Like this, I wonder how they're going to bring her back.
Yeah.
Right?
That was one of the main questions, yeah.
So I'm actually curious how Jin comes back because the last time I saw, he just got shot in the face. By Heihachi at the end of 3.
You saw him get Devil Gene.
Oh, that was the year, right?
Yeah. So that's something that doesn't really. They don't do a good job explaining that. Where the whole point is, if you're about to die, if you have the Devil Gene like dormant in you, that triggers it.
Yeah.
And it becomes this protective thing that then like goes.
Yeah.
And that plays a very, very crucial role, honestly, from like 6 onward. Because like if Heihachi didn't do that, then like Jin would have been fine. Yeah, he would have been normal.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. The other person I like is the blonde chick,
Nina.
Yeah.
The assassin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she likes Tom from Tom and Jerry. And I was literally having this conversation like the other day.
Yeah.
I swear to God, where I was like, I was talking to my friend and I was like, you ever just like feel bad for Tom?
Yep.
She was like, no. And I'm like, dude, like this guy is just trying to be a good house cat.
Yeah, do his job.
Keep out the mice.
Yeah.
And he just gets shit on from everyone.
Yep.
Like, I like Tom.
Yeah.
Tom's he's just trying to do his best.
They really just make her like whoever just pays her, she's just like their bodyguard. So like, between Heihachi or Kazuya or whoever, like she's just their bodyguard.
So she woke up in 3, I guess, because she was in cryo sleep or something.
Yeah. Which is why she hasn't aged like everyone else.
Yeah, which is, that makes sense. And I guess the scientist guy was doing that experiment to save his daughter or something. Mm-hmm. And I think she's the pink hair girl who's like an android.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how that happens yet, but I saw her trailer in 8.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense. I'm like, oh, that's his daughter.
Which is kind of, and they'll get into that in the video, but it's kind of weird for that.
Oh, there's weird things in Tekken?
Well, no, but then Yoshimitsu's part of that. Brian Fury's part of that. Like that, like everyone has kind of like these entangled little webs.
Yeah.
And that group is all kind of together doing their own thing. I do love the fact like Jack. So like you notice that like there's Jack. Tekken 3 had Gun Jack, which was made.
The one girl who
he like
is
survived.
that still a thing or
the girl isn't there? Like the backstory there is like she is working with G Corporation, who Kazuya owns, because they're trying to like basically save the planet. Yeah.
Okay.
Jack's
still alive? Because the one ending
Presumably.
she blows up.
Yeah.
But there's 2 endings.
Yeah.
But apparently they forgot the good ending in the
Tekken 7. Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah. So I don't know if they were trying to like retcon that or whatever. But she's alive because she's making new Jacks.
Do you like worlds where you have to establish canons where you have to piece it together, or would you rather them just spoon feed you like here's what actually happened?
I like it because it goes like I like it in specific cases. Obviously, I have a soft spot for Tekken, and I've been there from the beginning, so it's like I just got really into it.
Yeah.
If I had to jump in now, like you, maybe not so much.
Be tough.
Same with the Nazi zombies from Call of Duty, because there's a wild lore for that too.
Oh my God. I always talk about this. Like I remember specifically, my little brother's really into the zombies lore. And I remember he was watching a video on it or something. And I caught 5 seconds of it. I'm like, what the? I remember when we were like in one room and there's just Nazi zombies coming at us, bro. But it's like, there's like timelines and crazy.
You're on Tekken 4 now. Kazuya's in charge, or Heihachi's in charge?
Heihachi's in charge.
Yeah. So the crazy thing with that game is canon-wise, I believe he wins.
In what?
In Tekken 4.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the reason I'm saying
his son, what's his son's name?
Kazuya. Yeah.
Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
Is still dead in Tekken 3.
Yes. Yeah, because he was thrown in
so
a
he comes
volcano.
back in 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just trying to piece it out. It's a lot.
Yeah, apparently they like the devil gene saved him. They found his body. They reanimated him, and Kazuya's back in 4.
Dude, fighting game lore is different.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I really want to watch Street Fighter. Did you like his Street Fighter video?
So far, yeah. But like I said, I only got through the first one, and then he
no
switched to like Final Fight.
Story in the new one.
Yeah, it's more of like a...
You have to like piece it together again.
Thing. Yeah.
Because like you do go up to like the champions or whatever, like the characters.
Yeah.
And they have you do stuff.
But it's not like a story mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish there was a story mode. So I think I'm going to like that about Tekken more, where it's like, here's the story.
And like, obviously finish the video, but the main thing there is like eventually in 5, Jin wins. And that's a turning point. Yeah. It's like, oh, the grandkid won.
Okay.
And then he starts World War III.
In 5?
At the end. So in 6, like 6
so
begins.
8 is World War III?
No. So, well, ish. So 6 begins with Jin being like head of the Mishima Corporation and everything. And he just goes and causes as much pain and suffering and chaos as humanly possible. And in that time when that game came out, and this is why I really didn't like 6, a lot of people didn't like 6, it's because like Jin's this like good, not goody two, but like he's like the good guy, right? Like he's the only good guy.
Yeah.
And he's literally like murdering millions of people. And you find out it's like, oh, it's to wake Azrael or whoever, like this like demon thing, like the biggest bad. And the whole point of him is this guy turned people into devils to serve him, and that's where the devil gene came from. So he controls all the devils. So in Jin's mind, he's like, all right, I'm going to wake this guy, kill him, rid the world of the devil gene completely because we can, and then I'll save basically the world for future. So like it's like the end justifies the means.
Yeah.
A little misguided. They kind of like, they're like, oh, we have to figure something out here. But that was 6. He kind of does that at the end of 6 and like, oh, that's why he did all this. Still kind of a dick move. Like he really didn't sit well. And then he took a backseat in 7. And in 7 was all about Heihachi versus Kazuya. They fight. Kazuya wins, kills Heihachi, throws him in a volcano again. And then 8 happens where like now Jin's back and he's like, all right, well, I'm going to finish this once and for all and get rid of the devil gene completely. And that's where 8 sets up. But it's crazy that 6 literally shows you where the devil gene comes from, how to defeat it, all of this stuff. But it took like 6 games to get to that kind of like pinnacle of like, all right, now.
Well, they have no idea where they were going.
Probably
like, just
not.
hanging on the wheel or like, all right, let's do this.
But that was the thing.
I refuse to believe that Tekken was a well thought out.
They knew
master
exactly
plan.
what was happening. Yeah. Although it was kind of interesting because Heihachi's wife, I think Kazume or something, was actually carved in something in Tekken 1. So like if you look closely, you actually see her name. So when they bring her in on the 7th game, it's like, oh crap! Like they kept that canon, I guess.
There you go.
And somewhere in there, Jinpachi's there, who's the grandfather of Jin, and Heihachi's dad.
Yeah.
And all that. Yeah.
We never really saw him.
I think that was 5, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't get that
Yeah,
far.
I think it's 5. But
okay.
Anyway, that was the thing where it's like 6 was important, like really important from a story perspective of that.
Yeah.
And then 8 just goes, man.
I'm excited.
The one thing that you're not going to notice because you didn't play the games, so I don't want to spoil it for you, but like I want to show you so when it happens, you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. So in the trailer, you obviously see Jin and Kazuya fighting. Obviously, you know they're going to be fighting later in the game too. Like they open up the game with that, like I told you forever ago.
Yeah.
At the end, you know the 2 guys lock in combat. I don't think that's going to surprise anybody. But the cool thing was, as Jin is like coming through his stuff and Kazuya is coming through his stuff, and they're all kind of like crescendoing. You fight multiple times, like multiple rounds as they're like screaming at each other and doing that very anime thing. But throughout that fight, Jin, you see the evolution of his fighting style. So like you see him kind of hold his hand up and like fix his glove and like push it down, which is the opening cinematic of Tekken 3 when he was first introduced. And then I'm already getting chills because I was like, oh, that's so cool. But he does that, and then he's wearing his like kind of like classic costume or whatever, and then the Tekken 3 theme song starts playing. It immediately took me back to that. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
That was your first one?
Yeah. And then he goes back to his Mishima fighting style because in that game he was taught by Heihachi, so he was basically a Kazuya stand-in because he wasn't in the whole thing. But he took that fighting style, he had that move set, and it was playing that soundtrack. And Kazuya was like, I thought you got rid of that fighting style. He's like, I own it now or whatever. And like he just goes and you're just like, that's so cool. And then he fights again, and then you see him change again, and he's playing June's theme song, and he has her move set, and he's using her moves. He was basically showing, he's like, I'm an expert of all this stuff.
Yeah, right.
So cool.
Man.
It was so cool.
I wish I was as into it as you are.
The reason, like, when we're going through our pillars of like reviewing and stuff, up to that point, I was like, the music's fine. Like, it's okay. Like, whatever. But that was like, dude, that hit me so good.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
I was so excited. Yeah.
I think fan service is like, when done well, dude, makes a difference for sure.
I will say they dragged this one out way longer than with Kazuya and Heihachi. Like, I think that one was shorter, but I think it made sense in the context of all of that, which I thought was really cool. But I'll be interested to see what you think of it, because it's like, it's very fast paced. It's like, here's this fight, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now this is happening, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
yeah.
Like, and to be honest, like, a lot of the characters in this game, like, I don't know a lot of them, right? Like, I know I would say maybe a third.
Oh, wow. A lot of new characters?
A lot of new characters, a lot of characters that were introduced in like 6 and 7, and I wasn't super into those games. So it's like, I really haven't kind of connected with a lot of them.
Okay.
But
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm excited, dude. I always love getting in on a fandom. You know what I mean? Because I always want to be in the know.
Yeah.
So whenever there's an opportunity to do that, I'm always excited to jump in on that and get in on it.
It's neat. It actually lets you pick a lot of the stuff. So like, you can actually have direct influence on like what fighter wins from each country, which I thought was kind of a cool thing. Yeah, they do some stuff.
So what's canon then?
Well, we won't know until 9.
Yeah.
I mean, technically we know that like the end of the campaign, like who wins, who dies, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
what happens then, that's canon. So we know that, but like everyone else, it really doesn't matter. Like, every single game, it's just the Mishima's fight. Like that's always the end. But how they get there is pretty interesting. And then there's they have 32 fighters, and each one of them has their cutscene at the end where you have to play through their arcade story and get it. I will say again, I don't want to give you any bias, but like there have been a couple that I'm like, that's really stupid, and I like it a lot, like super anime.
Yeah.
But there are also a couple where I'm like, this isn't like the direction of the quick cutscene isn't as good as previous games. I've only done, I think, 5 of them so far, and I want to say it's maybe 50-50 on like, oh, I really like these, or like, I really didn't think this was that great.
Interesting. Okay.
But I don't know. It's neat. You make your own little avatar guy. You run around an arcade and play with people and stuff. And I think they do a very good job teaching you some stuff. So if it's something that you actually are like, I kind of want to like give it a shot or learn about certain things, the tutorial is very good, like very good. Okay. It might be the best actually. And I thought Street Fighter and both Mortal Kombat were like good, but I think this is more digestible and like helps a lot.
That's good. I'm bad at fighting games. I need that.
Remind me, I have a controller for you. I'll grab it for you.
Oh yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah,
I do need my controller's so bad.
I hope it's good. It might be.
It'll probably be better than mine, but we'll see. No, I'm excited for Tekken 8. It's gonna be interesting, and then we'll discuss it next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're free Tuesday, I would love to just rumble with you.
Yeah, dude. Let's do it. But we did play another game.
Yeah.
Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown.
Lost Crown
of Destiny.
Is this going to be our like review? How do we feel about this?
I feel like yes, because I mean, we're going to be talking about Tekken 8 next week, so I don't think we're going to have time, but it's up to you, like however you feel about it.
No, I'm
good to do it, but I'm also good to hold off if you want to hold off.
Nope. Let's jump into it, because I feel like it's hard for me to believe there was like something went so crazy in that game, different, that completely changes my opinions on a lot of
I feel the same way.
Stuff that I have.
I am going to finish it, but because I just, you know me, I like to see things through, but I believe I have a good grasp on the game. And here's the thing, like if something does unexpectedly like change my mind on something, I'll put it in my review.
Like Sea of Stars or whatever. Yeah, you can just call it out or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
That's a good point. Yeah.
How do you? So we have 4 pillars.
Yep.
So to remind the audience, it's gameplay, story and characters, sound design, presentation. How do you want to handle this? Do you want to do story and characters first? I feel like that's going to be a fairly quick one.
Yeah, sure. I'll start whatever order you want to start.
Yeah. You want to jump into?
Yeah. So story and characters. It's fitting that memorable is the first category on this because this might be one of the most forgettable stories / characters, and it's like I can't put my finger on why it is, because like, you know, they do everything they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like they have all these characters. I think the character designs are actually not bad. Like I like Sargon's design, and all the immortals are kind of cool. They have their individual weapons. They all have like their own. It's one of those situations where I think they're very one-dimensional, where it's like, oh, here's the big guy with a big weapon. He's like the brute. Guy, he's the brute. Like, he doesn't care. And
dummy.
Yeah, it's like a little too on the nose, I think, with some of those things. But, oh, my God. I don't know if it was just like exposition and they're just giving me all these names and I can't remember any of them.
That's what I was saying last week, where it's like they dump so much on you, like you're supposed to care about anything.
They send you into the game fairly quickly, like you're playing right away. It's not like this 10-minute cutscene. It's not like we're playing Metal Gear Solid or anything, right? Sure. But it, for some reason, just feels like too much.
Yep.
And I don't care about any of it, and I feel bad at saying that, and I don't know what would make that better.
Nothing is earned.
But it's just like, oh, here we are, and we're these guys, and look how cool the immortals are. It's like,
but you're supposed to be like a tight-knit group, and everyone's like, oh, you're all friends and everything.
Yeah,
and
you don't get that sense at all.
Right.
At least I didn't.
I should probably call out spoilers here, too, like, because I do want to touch on a couple plot points where it's like, it was very jarring, I think, on a lot of stuff, where they don't earn a lot of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you have this group of immortals, and then we'll say, like, one immortal betrays the group, right? And it's like, wait, what are you doing? And then that kind of like starts the game, which could be kind of neat, where it's like, oh, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But then like, I would say maybe like 2 hours in, another one betrays the one that betrayed you or something.
Exactly.
But then everybody suddenly, well, mostly everybody is suddenly like, okay, well, we're with this new dictator guy now or whatever, with no like, you would think a close group of individuals would have had some sort of like, well, wait a minute, let's talk through this. Like, rather than just blindly changing
allegiances,
everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, all right.
It just felt very unearned in my mind, where I'm just like, man, I don't care about any of these people.
Same. So like the memorable component to this, I don't even know any of their names except for Sargon, which is the main character.
Because
you see it a million times, right? So it's like, what is their motivate? Like, I mean, I guess I get some of their motivations, like they want to be king or whatever, but it was just so bland. It was just so forgettable.
I assume you haven't fought the dude with the bow and arrow yet, right?
No.
It's like right before one of the constellations. So like I fought this guy, and like you're walking in and he's like yelling at you or something. Right. He's like, and you say like, hey, so and so killed him. Like, it's a mistake. I'm not the bad guy. And he's like, I'll never listen to a thing you're gonna say. Blah blah blah. Yeah, right. And you fight. And you do this boss fight, which I think is actually kind of a cool fight. But at the end, he's like Sargon's like, hey man, I didn't want this fight. Like, you're trying to like hand him his bow, like, get up, man. Like, I'm sorry. He's like, I didn't want this fight either. I'm like, you literally just said, I'm not going to listen to a thing you said. I'm going to kill you now. Don't, like, the dialogue is not great. And honestly, like, I'm even going to take it a step further. And like, I know it's kind of like the next one. Like, I don't think the voice acting is
right. I was going to say the same thing.
And it's not like I don't think any of them are good. Am I off there?
No, like, I try to, like, voice acting, obviously, very difficult profession.
I guess actually I kind of lie. That's more in sound design. I'm sorry.
Not in here, but we can touch on it. Yeah, no, I was in the same camp. I was not impressed, and I think that's more of a testament, because I was really thinking about it, that voice acting is at a high level these days.
Yeah,
that this might have been passable in past.
If I had to guess,
but it wasn't great. Especially, dude, I actually laughed out loud when you first hear the chick with the mask.
Yeah.
He's just like muffled. It sounded terrible.
But it was muffled because she had the mask on, so I like the attention to detail.
Yeah, but it
wasn't delivered well.
Awful.
Yeah.
It sounded like they just put an actual mask over her. Yeah. Like, again, I appreciate the attempt.
Yeah.
But it was bad. It was poorly executed. So anyways, yeah, the voice acting.
It's like they went into a booth without anyone else.
Tell me if I'm off base here, but
I promise we'll get to like
did the British accents throw you off?
Oh, you mean for the Persian game?
Yeah. Like, am I crazy or like, can we do like a Persian? Is that like weird
I don't know.
to?
So
I know in a lot of like media, the British is like the default no matter what.
I would give a pass, and the only reason why I wouldn't specifically for this game is it's Ubisoft, and how many Assassin's Creed games have they done where they specifically pull people in from certain regions and like, okay, for Odyssey you have to have the Greek accent. Here's how all these are.
That's a good point.
It was like they just threw them together, and maybe you and I are ignorant to some like, oh well, during so and so like there'll be, but like.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. Like, was there, because the British have been everywhere.
Yeah, they're like conquering a lot of stuff. It's
feasible for sure, but or maybe I'm missing like a background component to who Sargon is or the other people. I don't know. I feel like right. It's not like offensive to me or anything, but I'm just like
the story.
It took me out of it a little bit because I was like. Wait, what?
It was weird. I really like the art style. Like I love how the characters look and stuff. I
like the design.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get to this. I mean, maybe we're just jumping ahead too much.
I'm talking about specifically the portraits of the characters, like the painted, like almost like League of Legends, like arcane thing.
Yeah.
I like how they're done because honestly, even like Shadow Game, it had similar. Like I like that flat art style.
Yeah.
That's a personal preference.
I got you.
But
okay, so I'm just gonna move through this.
Yeah, sorry, what else we got?
Like, how did you feel about the pacing?
Pacing was wild because it was like, and I'm gonna give it somewhat of a pass here, ish, because pacing is very, very, very hard to do in a Metroidvania because a lot of time there's a lot of backtracking and you might have to like trial and error and get to certain points and it gets a little weird.
Right.
The reason why I think the pacing isn't great in this is because like you're chasing in the very beginning, you're chasing after like the quote unquote like, you know, defector plus the person she kidnapped and everything.
Right.
And you're trying to get through it.
Yep.
And you're trying to go after them. But like the only times that you feel any sense of urgency or whatever is like in little mini cutscenes of like, come back here, and then they go away, and like you have to go and try to find them and chase them and whatever. But the pacing. How
come they never have to go through all these puzzles and obstacles?
Right, they just walk. And it's funny because a lot of the time you see, well, I'll come back to that on the presentation. But like, yeah, like the pacing, like you'll randomly talk to people, like you'll just see someone in the world, and you'll be like, oh hey man, like you're here to like. And you just talk, and it's just like it doesn't actually do anything. I don't know. The pacing, I would say, almost like non-existent. Like it's like the pacing is eventually you get the ability that unlocks the next section as Metroidvanias do,
right?
And then you continue on. Like it.
I think that a lot of the pacing is up to the discretion of the player too. Like how much side content are you doing? Because there are a lot of secret areas and side things you're doing. Which I gave up on very quickly and just started beelining. But yeah, I don't know. It is.
Do you have the bird? I don't know if like you bought the game, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm using the Ubisoft Plus, so I think I maybe got a bird. It's like a bird charm. It's free charm you can put on, and it just shows you like it will like fly to like if you're next to a wall that it's like breakable, like a hidden area, it'll like fly up to it and be like, hey, there's something here.
I think I can buy it though.
Probably, I'm sure you could. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, this is like the weakest category, I think.
I agree.
But like wow factor, anything wowing you?
No, I don't think so. Like I think, and we'll get into this, but I think the best part of the game are like the boss fights.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that factors into the wow factor. Like some of the boss fights were pretty cool and did some cool things. So I would maybe give it some points there, but overall, I was never like, oh my gosh, look at this betrayal. I'm so shocked. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know this guy. Like, why is that? There was literally no lead up to him killing the prince. And I'm like supposed to be shocked.
Yeah.
I'm like, who knows what this guy is? Maybe he's always been a dick. I don't know. Right? I literally met this guy 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to be like brothers with him or something. Like, there was no context.
And then you've talked to the other chick who was the original one that like kidnapped it, and he's like, I can't trust you. I'm like, dude, everybody hates you right now. And then the one person that like is kind of like on your side ish.
Yeah.
You're just like, I can't trust you. And she's like, that's fair. I guess this is goodbye then. I would hope you see her later, like on the very end of the game, but like
I haven't seen her.
You just never seen her again,
yeah.
and it's just like wow, like
I don't know. And it's tough because I like how would I fix that? Like I don't really know. Like I can't put my finger on like what's missing.
There's not enough interaction, but it's such a fine line that if these guys kept interrupting me, bless you. If these guys kept interrupting me while I was trying to play the game or do some sort of like platforming and stuff, that would also be annoying.
Yeah, I think you have to, and this is where I'm going to show my ignorance is like in this style of game, a Metroidvania, I feel like you have to be very specific and intentional about how you're telling this story. Mm-hmm. Like you guys were talking about Ori and the Blind Forest, which I never played, but my understanding of it is like it's a very different way on how they were telling the story.
Kind of. With Ori, it was like the different environments helped tell the story because you were going in a very specific thing. And that's somewhat present here because the different environments, there is a story, I guess, rationale for it. But I think Ori definitely pays it off more because like you're progressively getting into more and more dangerous situations. But like, I feel like there's always this like this push for Ori. Like there was always a reason of like, oh man, this is going to be really tough to go through, but like I have to get my owl friend or I have to save my mother or whatever. Yeah. And it just, from a pacing standpoint, I feel like there were enough hits of like,
it's paying off.
Yeah. I'm not saying like, look, Metroidvanias are very, very tough and Ori wasn't perfect. Or it was pretty damn near perfect, but like it wasn't perfect where like, if you screw up, if you die in an impromptu, like not a great location, and I could never get into Hollow Knight because of this. Like, there's a lot of backtracking. There's a lot of like you get lost. You don't know what the next step is to knock things out. So like, that's why I give it somewhat of a pass-ish. Like, I don't put a heavy weight on that. But yeah, as far as wow factor goes, I'm like, dude, nothing gripped me on like, oh, I never saw that coming. Like, dude, the moment, it's like the Han Solo effect of if it's like the protagonist and you have two people and one person you think is a bad guy and the other person is the good guy, I'm like, the good guy is definitely the bad guy, right? Like, it's like, here's the big, switcheroo.
Yeah, it was very, you could see it coming.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, just the same kind of points for interest as well. Like,
yeah,
it was forgettable. It wasn't interesting. So
there's something there with the like. I feel like if they dove more into it or spent some time being like, oh hey, like
if the first
you're
part
building
of the
up
game,
the friendship,
was
like chummy and stuff,
going through with these guys,
and
like you're in this weird place where time's different and all these secrets.
Yep.
If the first fourth of the game was like you're a tight knit team and you're trying to figure this out, maybe that would lend itself better. But like literally everything falls apart
within the first 10 minutes of the game.
Right, then, exactly. So it's...
Which I was actually excited for. I'm like, oh, crap's going down. Sweet. Like, way to get me right in the action. But yeah, from a story perspective, it's like, I don't care.
Yeah, there's no reason for me to care about these characters. And then, like, to your point as well, like, the performances aren't good enough for me to be invested that way either, right? Because, like, sometimes you have, like, okay, the writing is whatever, but like, wow, this guy's doing such a great job portraying this guy that I'm like, I kind of like this.
Yeah, but like character. No one is likable.
Right. There's even the main character. It's like, what are we doing? I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just kind of lost on, and maybe it's me.
I think the most interesting person is the Demon Forge lady. or whatever. I was just like, at least she has like personality.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the old guy who's supposed to be a fool, but is wild. Like it's just like I couldn't name a bigger trope. Like he's a walking trope.
Yep.
It was just so like that was like my least favorite mission where you're just chasing him in the sewer or whatever.
Yeah.
I was literally about to just quit the game, dude. I was like, this is the stupidest mission ever. Dude,
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
All right, where do you want to go next? We got 3 categories left.
Yeah, I mean, let's hit up some gameplay because I want to maybe get some. Okay. I'm looking at these things.
So I actually think this is the strongest category.
Yes.
And I'm not a Metroidvania guy, so I mean, you know me, you know, it's like story characters first, so you could imagine that this isn't my strongest.
But that's why we're good together because I go heavy on the gameplay.
So I don't know how, like I can't speak to the newness because I'm just not very experienced with this type of genre, so I don't know if you can speak to that more on like comparing it to your experiences.
Yeah. And I know, look, I actually kind of like this game, so I want to preface this. But the way that we are grading this, essentially, and like what we define as like important pillars.
Yeah.
When you're talking about newness, I truthfully don't know what this game does that has not been done in every other Metroidvania that has come before it.
Right.
You would think in a Prince of Persia game, the rewind mechanic would play a bigger part. And to some extent, the rewind mechanic is cool and novel if League of Legends Convergence hadn't just come out last year, where you're literally doing the same thing. And I would argue in some cases, like better, like more integrated and felt a little bit smoother and stuff. So it like from a newness point of view, and I'm even going to kind of lump in genre advancement in that because like when we say genre advancement, we're talking like Hades, right? You're doing a roguelite.
Right.
Hades does it in a very special way that hasn't been done up to that point. It was like, oh, that was amazing.
Right.
With this one, it's like it does everything very well. So I know I'm lumping a lot of these together, but like from newness in a genre advancement, I don't think it actually advances the genre in any way. Like I am really, really, really struggling to find a way that's like, oh, other games are going to copy this. And I'm not saying that's like a requirement to be a good game, but like ones that stay in your mind or ones that are heralded as like, oh, this is actually like the next level, right? Like this doesn't hit that. Like it's a good game. It's competent. It does everything, I think, very well. Like there wasn't any, like I think it's crisp. I think it moves really well. I think overall, like once you get the flow of it, like I was really moving. Like it was fine.
Yeah.
But it's nothing that we haven't seen in Convergence. Like honestly, like Convergence, Hollow Knight, and Ori all do things differently and better in certain ways.
Sure.
Right. So this one, it was like,
yeah. To me, I kind of get the same sense where this is kind of right down the middle.
Yeah.
Where like, if you were describing a Castlevania to someone, this is what it would look like. But again, I do think the gameplay was very competent. I was finding myself enjoying it, especially like the boss fights in particular, where like they have these unique move sets that you have to try to figure out. I like the movement. Like you said, I think Sargon moves very quickly and he has a fluid motion, and it feels good to see yourself progressing in that combat system, because I think there's a lot of neat things that you can do. You're juggling people, you're using your different abilities to do a lot of these cool combos. So yeah, I like that. In terms of newness, again, I'm going to defer to your judgment on this, but yeah, it does seem to me, in my very basic understanding of it, that it's just kind of, this is what we expect.
Yeah, it's good.
But nothing crazy.
I will say that I think the boss battles, like you said, are a highlight. I think that if I was going to point to something specific, saying like, oh, they really nailed this.
Yeah.
I think the boss fights are quite good.
Yeah.
And I think that they do it in a way where maybe about like midway through the game, like there's a very clear like skill check where up to that point you're just like, oh, I'm just like button mashing. I'm getting through and it's fine. And then there's a boss fight with she's like riding on a tiger. Did you get to that one yet?
Yep.
And it's just like I gotta pay attention. Like it's like this is actually something. So it's like it took you a few tries of I can parry these. I have to dodge these. I have to warp into all this other stuff. And then that became a theme. And I was actually like I'm not really a boss fight guy, but they're pretty quick to get the hang of it. And then it might take you 2, 3, 4, 5 times to get through it, but you get closer every time, which I think is really, really cool. So I don't know. If I had to pick one thing, I think the boss fight gameplay was something that
I agree. And I'm curious what Jeff feels about this because he's a big boss fight guy.
Yeah.
What killed Jeff?
I'm sure he finds this trivial if he plays this one, but maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's more into the genre, and I know specifically he always looks for those memorable and challenging boss fights that are unique and interesting. So I could see him actually maybe liking this better than us, but that would be interesting.
I always get to maybe this is just a me thing, but when it comes to bosses, my initial reaction is okay, you can't touch the boss. You have to get away from the boss. You have to dodge the boss all the time. And this game really forces you of no, you have to if he's shooting something at you, you better parry that right back in his face, and you better follow up, and you have to have to be aggressive.
Interesting.
And I think that kind of breaks you out of the shell, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, I mean, we've been really talking about it. I think we hit newness and genre advancement, right? It doesn't really do that, but the fun factor I think is there. I think that's probably the highlight, especially in this category. I did have fun with the combat. Like I mentioned, I think the combat is done well. It's competent, and I like that sense of progression and feeling like you have a better understanding of it as you go through the game. And it does feel good, especially when you're on a tougher boss, and then it forces you to pay more attention, learn the move sets, you parry things, you start dodging abilities. It feels good once you're in that flow, right?
Right.
So I actually give it good marks for fun factor. That was my favorite part of the game.
Yep.
Like I said. So, and I don't know if that ties into loop as well, but
I know you're not a big platformer guy, but I would say that some of the platforming and the different challenges, not the main to progress the story, you have to get from point A to point B, whatever.
Yeah.
But there are definitely some challenging offshoot. Oh, you want this little collectible coin? All right, well, enjoy this crazy puzzle jump thing that you have to learn how to warp and slide down this and then jump over on this one. You have to time it exactly right and stuff. And that, ironically enough, because that can really get frustrating. But I think that they did a lot of really, really good stuff. I was actually finding myself just naturally finding secret areas because the platforming felt good to me, where I was enjoying it enough that I just didn't realize I was even in a secret area. I'm just man, this is getting really challenging. And then I'm like, oh, I'm sure this is
So I have the exact opposite take on this, where and look, I think it should be commended. I should probably give it points for, I do think they were creative platforming challenges, like you said, using the mechanics of the games in a very interesting way, where it's I found myself thinking oh, I didn't even think to use my ability this way. Mm-hmm. And this forced me to do that. So it forced you to think more creatively. But as someone who's terrible at platforming, spending 15 minutes trying to do this fucking room where the lava's filling up or whatever, just to find out it's for a stupid coin that I don't even want, is the most infuriating thing, because I don't know it's a secret room.
Right. Yeah.
I think this is what I have to do to get to the next thing. And then it turns out I wasted my time and I just had to backtrack and go down a stupid pipe that I didn't see or something, where it's
that's the Metroidvania. I
hate that. I wish it was very more noob friendly, where it's okay, if you want to just go to see the story and fight the bosses, here's where you need to go. And I selected the option where it should have showed me the map, but the map was still blank.
It will just show you a big icon. I don't think
I wish
that was a good...
I wish there was a noob mode. Yeah. Just show me the whole freaking map and draw a line where I need to go.
That's part of present. We'll get there, because I do have a thought on presentation. But
yeah, so the loop for me, where I can see people appreciating that, but that's just not me. That's not me. Yeah. And I'm sorry. Like, I suck. I'm terrible. I spent an embarrassingly long amount of time on these stupid platforming sections. Like, Tyler's watched me play Guild Wars 2. I'm horrific.
I will be candid where I'm like, I'd get through a really tough part. I'm like, man, I want to watch you. Dude, I just want to watch you do this.
Oh my God. So there were points where like I'd shut the game off because I'm like, this is not fun.
Or if you die and you get kicked back to a tree that's like nowhere.
Oh,
like you
dude, that happened to me where you get a bad spawn point. Oh, man. Yeah.
That right there is
the worst part. Probably the worst part of that genre, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
you have
why
to go through this whole thing. It's like there's 10 guys in my way. I was just dodging them.
Yeah.
After a while, I'm not fighting these guys every time.
Yeah, because you're just bleeding your potions.
Like if you're gonna put a really tough platforming section, you got to put a spawn point near it, dude, so I can just get right back into it. And that's a big point that we've always talked about. Like, am I able to get back in the action quickly?
Right.
Yep. Like that's such an important factor to me, at least. Where it's like I don't want to have to walk a half mile to get back to where I was. Right?
I've definitely learned to prioritize, like, because I think they do a fairly good job. They give you like a little golden wispy trail or something to like hints for the hey, there's a tree over here for a checkpoint. Before I'd be like, okay, I'll come back to that or whatever. But then like maybe like 2-3 hours into the game, I'm like, dude, if I see that thing, I am following that 100%.
Yep.
But yeah, I think overall the loop is good. I think anything, because it's very tough because anything I dislike about it is really just the genre. It's not the game.
Yeah, right.
So I'm trying to weigh that where it's like, it's not for me a lot of the time, but at the same time, like I know every other game, including Ori and everyone else, does this. The last thing I will say gameplay wise is they have a very good art change up in the different areas. Like I think they're very distinct, and I think that the mechanics are different, which I think is actually really, really cool.
Right.
So like some have like sand falls where they interact differently, and others have like if you're facing one direction, walls appear. If you're facing another direction, like they disappear. Or if you're facing one direction, stairs go up and down and different things like that. And like that's really clever and really neat. So I do give it props for being like each area having its own like hook. And I haven't seen something to that level since like Mario Odyssey. It is no Mario Odyssey. Like that's not even fair to really compare it to, but I do like the idea that they didn't just have kind of this one navigation thing.
Yeah.
Which honestly, even Ori, like it mixed up the environments, but the like the movement was pretty similar throughout like the entire game from what I remember. Now you got new abilities and that changed it a little bit, but like the environment itself and the way you interacted with it largely was similar, at least more so than this. So like they did a very good job, I think.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great point that you bring out. The environments are very specific and unique. You know where you are at all times.
Yeah.
And I do like those little, like the forest sticks out to me with the different plants that you can hop on and they disappear and stuff. Yeah. So that's a good point. So where do you want to move now? Sound design?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay. So immersion. Again, I talked about this before, but it really takes me out of it when you have these British accents. And I don't know if I'm crazy, but immediately that's kind of the first thing I noticed where I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
The game kind of, I don't know if you feel this way. It just feels dated to me a little bit. Like it feels like if this came out 10 years ago, this would be a very good game.
Yeah.
But there's so many iterations of this genre that have come out since that's like, I don't know. This feels like
you mean from specifically like a sound and design perspective?
Yeah, sound design, but I think more than that, right? Every aspect of it kind of feels that way. Maybe not the gameplay, but like even the visuals. I mean, we'll get to the visuals, but like yeah, specifically in sound design, like I don't think the performances are anything crazy, but like if this was 10 years ago, would we be saying, "Oh yeah, very good performance from the voice actor." You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Because I just think the industry has progressed so much where it's like,
yeah, I mean, you look at something like Hades, which has the same level of, hey, a big portrait pops up and people are talking. That's in a ton of games.
Right.
But, yeah.
And to be fair, like they're British in that too. And it's like
Sure.
Greece.
Yep.
So maybe I'm just being dumb, but
that's a perfect example of if the voice work and the dialogue and the interactions are good enough, you can overlook other things.
Yeah,
but if the performances are subpar and you add English accents on top of it and other things, then it starts getting a little...
I think you might be right. So yeah, for me, I wasn't immersed into this world. Like, again, it kind of ties to the forgettable nature of it.
Yeah.
I'm not craving to go look up Prince of Persia lore after this. I didn't feel myself drawn
you're not
into
watching
this world.
a 2-hour Tekken video for Prince of Persia.
Like I'm good.
Yeah.
I get it.
Well, it doesn't help that like this is its own thing. Like it's not even like it's connected to the series in any way or anything. Like there's no history.
Yeah.
Now there might be if I cared about any of the collectibles, but you better believe I'm grabbing that collectible and I'm hitting B. Like I'm not going to read all that stuff because there's no actual integration and incentive to it.
Yeah. So for me, I wasn't immersed like at all.
Yeah. One thing from like a sound effects standpoint is I had the bird charm on. I am so sick of hearing the bird do the little tweet or whatever whenever there's like something like it's not just that. It's like if you open up the map, it tweets. If you close the map, it tweets. If you are anywhere near a chest, even if you can't get the chest, it's tweeting and like calling out every time you hit a certain area. Like I took it off because I'm like, dude, I hate hearing this every 5 seconds. Like it does not help.
Yeah.
Like if I'm maybe hunting for treasure down the line, sure, but like that kept taking me out of it. Like I was like, man, I really
the
don't
sound
love
effects were fine to me. They didn't stick out in like a crazy positive or negative way though. It was like very basic, I guess.
It's weird because typically in a game like that, you would use it to time things. So like if you hear like one of the things in like Ori would be like, oh, like a little goo guy spits a goo thing. And in Ori, you can actually jump, use that to then propel you somewhere else. So to time it, you'd be like, okay, whenever he spits it and I hear that sound effect, I have to wait 1 second and then jump and do it. And you can like time things that way.
Yeah.
You can kind of do that here, but like I think the visuals were crisp enough that I was never using sound in a gameplay sense. I was never using it as like an environmental sense. Like I
agree.
I was
using the visuals as well because like there's like distinct colors on whether you should dodge or parry, and I agree. I felt the same way.
Yeah.
The music was
I'm always looking at
non-existent. / like whatever.
Yeah.
There wasn't one point where I was like, oh, this is so epic. This is like it just I didn't even know how to like describe it. It was just so bland.
It's very
to me. And like if you have a game that's a specific culture, like man, are you able to really do some creative things with the music where you can, dive into that Persian or at least that area. I mean, the music is so rich there and so different from what Western audiences are used to, where you could, and I'm not saying you have to like just copy like Persian music or whatever, but like you can fuse it in a way where it's like, wow, you can have something really unique on your hands that, again, Western audiences are not used to hearing those types of things because it's just very different context and configuration on how Eastern music is. It's just very foreign to our ears. So I just think there's always an opportunity, like when you have a game like that in a specific place.
Right.
So
I mean, when you can put any other, let's call it culture, but like you can put that in any other setting and it would not change the game at all.
No.
It's like, well, it might be I'm
not saying you have to do that, but I mean, that's like just one idea.
Yeah, it's not bad. It wasn't like offensive, but no. I could not hum a single thing from it. Again,
it's forgettable. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the whole, like, oh, this was just a video game.
Not to keep bringing Ori up, but Ori music was a dramatic factor of it. And there were plenty of things in Ori too where it's like you had to do like a specific platforming part, like, or you would die, right? I think I only saw that in Prince of Persia like one time, and even then it was like this like side, like it wasn't like a big thing. It was like do a couple jumps and you're out. with Ori, it was like you were like trying to like avoid this like water going up this tree, and it was like tough. Like it was like that was your boss fight. Like it wasn't a boss fight. It was like you had to get out of there.
Yeah.
And through that entire thing, they timed the music in such a way that it's like, okay, well, like because there was a steady increase of danger, they could time the music to like the crescendo of like right when you get out before dying, because you always cut it super close. The music, swells, and it's like it was like this just really impactful, like memorable thing.
Yeah.
Same thing when like the music is like it makes you feel things along with all the visuals, and it's this really well gelled thing. Where this, it's like, all right, we need a soundtrack for this. Okay, all right, and then it never really combines or
you can tell intent, right?
Yeah.
Like great soundtracks have purpose and intent to them to really complement what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel that in this one. It did feel separate. It felt.
I think that's the overall thing, because I know like technically voice is part of this category too, but it's like they had a soundtrack that was okay build, and I'm sure they didn't do this, and that's why I always feel bad critiquing it, because I'm like I'm sure that more thought was put into it than we're letting on.
Yeah,
but it's like the soundtrack was disjointed. The voices, I would not be surprised if everyone went into a booth by themselves, read the lines. And that's it. And that's why it falls flat. That's why there's no like dynamicism. Is that even a word? Between characters.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff where it's very like pieced together of like, was this made during COVID? And it was just like, all right, you do this, you do this, you do this. We're putting it together. Okay, this was like, it's like they had the platforming and the combat, and they were like, well, let's just put something out.
Well, we have to have a story.
Yeah.
Well, we have to have voice.
Yeah.
We have to have music. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a competent.
It's not like we need, like, I don't know, like when you have a vision for your product, it's like, this is what the purpose of the music's going to be. This is what the purpose. This is how it's going to enhance the game.
It was like,
right?
And I would have to go and kind of do some research on it, but it was almost like there was I could very easily see, this was like a pet project of just some people messing around in their spare time. And then they pitched it and they were like, it's a good idea. And then they threw everything else together.
Sure.
Yeah, but they had that gameplay first, because like there are certain aspects where I'm like,
this is where the priority was.
Yeah, it's really good.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way. So, yeah, voice work's on here too. I think we touched on that enough.
Presentation.
Okay, presentation. So,
I know you want to talk about graphics. Do you want to do that first?
Yeah, I didn't think the game looked that great.
Interesting.
Am I crazy? I know you like that style, but there's like it felt off to me. Where like I will say like the game ran great. Mm-hmm. I was at 240 the entire time, like locked in.
Nice.
Which is
that's gotta
awesome.
Be butter.
Oh, it was butter, yeah. But I don't know, and look, this isn't my strong suit, so maybe you can tell me what I'm thinking, but something like Arcane felt very stylized and good. And this felt like a caricature of that in a way. Like trying to get to that level, but didn't quite hit the mark.
It's like modeled, but it's modeled generically.
Yes.
Did
you feel that at all?
Regard,
or no?
I'll give you that.
Okay.
The reason why I'm okay with it was when you're looking at it on like what to do, on like, okay, how do I interact with the world? Who's a bad guy? How do I dodge stuff? Like all the different little like nuanced things. I think that this game is extremely easy to navigate. And when you actually sit back and look at the detail that gets put in, where it's a let's call it a 3D environment. It's a 2D game, but like it's a 3D environment.
Yeah.
There are platforms behind you. There's platforms in the foreground and stuff. I never felt that I was trying to jump on a platform that like I couldn't jump on. And your mind doesn't really comprehend that while you're doing it, but it's this intuitive like, this is in the foreground, this is interactable, that's in the background, that's not. But like when you're looking at the sprites of them, or like the models of them, they're very, very, very similar. But all the little touches they did where one has maybe a little bit more contrast, one doesn't, and the way things are. Same with like things that are swingable have like a blue little thread around them, and like just these like intuitive things. I thought it was a very well done hey, here's how you move throughout this thing. Like I was never like stuck on something that was like, oh, I could, go through this pipe, or oh, I could knock this out, or whatever. I felt like I was always making progress, and I always knew where to go and how to go through it, which is good. Do I think that it was, again, like in this, I think that is our theme, was it this standout, like, oh, the visual style is above everything else? Like, no, I think it is fairly generic. Even the enemies are just kind of like, all right, I probably saw this in an Aladdin game, or I probably saw this in any other like sand Persian, like African level of another game.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like, sure, this guy is like a mummy looking guy or whatever. Oh, this guy's throwing bombs of a flask, and I'm sure that flask you've seen a million other games or something. Like I feel like it's the generic aspect is what kind of brought it down to me, not necessarily the visual style. That makes sense? I don't know.
No, I think that's understandable. And I think you're going to always get things like that just due to the environment, because it's easy to identify, right? Like, oh, we're in this environment, we're going to have like this kind of enemy or whatever, or like this kind of garb, which is like just how kind of life works too, right? Like if you're in a specific location, you might be wearing something for that, right? But and look, this is coming from someone with an untrained eye, but the style / graphics of the game, and like I totally understand what you're saying in terms of like the detail of the environment and the it makes sense, right? Like in terms of like it's intuitive in terms of like the platforming and the objects and things like that. But I'm more talking about like just how the game looks in general and the entire style of it. I'm not saying it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
I just it didn't really blow my mind or anything like that. It just felt, again, like a common thread, like just kind of right down the middle.
It was too crisp of, like there was no personality, I guess. Like even like the characters themselves, sure, a little bit like with their portraits.
Yeah, I actually like the Immortals character designs.
Yeah.
I thought they were kind of cool. Like, they each have their weapon and you kind of get a little bit of their personality through that. And I like Sargon, especially. I think he looks cool.
Sure.
The two swords. I like his hairstyle,
He has a pretty cool animation. Like if you just let it, like the idle animation and stuff, he'll like sit down, kind of like just start messing.
Yeah. So I think that stuff's cool, but I don't know. I have a hard time kind of explaining how I felt about it, but it was just kind of.
But when you look at the arrow guy, like the guy with the bow and arrow, which again, don't know his name because they're all just very like.
I don't know his name.
But that's Hanzo from Overwatch.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like the older kind of gray in the beard guy with the black ponytail? Oh yeah, that's him with a bow. Like it's like they're pulling. You can very clearly see where they're pulling inspiration from. The one thing I will give you is, and maybe this kind of illustrates it too, is while I think there was a consistency in the different areas, there wasn't an overall consistency throughout like the game itself, where like you'll just see a random fat firebird that you would see in like a Final Fantasy. And it's like, where did this thing come from? Why is this randomly here? It just seemed like out of place. So like there are certain like enemies and things like that might seem like you just stuck this here, but there's no like rhyme or reason on like there's not a visual continuity. Where something like a Hades or like who has a breadth of enemies, but they're all kind of like somehow working together,
appropriate
like
for their area.
Yeah,
too.
it's weird.
Yeah.
And even Ori, where like just the visual art style, which is just like basically all like hand painted type of effect. I don't think it is, but like that type, they all kind of work together. So I don't know. It's generic. Like it's just
I don't know. Like maybe I'm being harsher on it than I'm just kind of being honest with how I felt about it.
I did not like the graphic. Like just to be clear on where we stand is like the graphics for me was a non-issue. I think overall the gameplay, it ran well. It looked good enough.
I think the performance was great.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about specifically the look.
I thought
it was fine.
For the gameplay, the way it looks actually helps the gameplay, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's, we can absolutely.
I don't know what, like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm like expecting. Again, like, I'm ignorant to the whole world of design and stuff. So, like, grain of salt. But that's just kind of like my initial thought of it. I was like, I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed.
Yeah.
With the look of it. And maybe I'm searching for like something interesting and new. Like, I feel like I've just seen this style before, you know, kind of.
But like done better. Like it was.
Yeah,
like
but also it's like, I don't know, like Octopath Traveler, for example, right? Like you have these pixels, but it's like this new interesting take on it where it's this dynamic environment where you have the pixel sprites, but also like this high fidelity kind of background thing.
Yeah.
And the lighting is really cool and stuff. And like that sticks out to me. I'm like, wow, what a unique take on this JRPG thing to modernize it, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's kind of what I'm looking for in a game like this, where can we utilize the lighting better to make it look...
Lighting will always... Like, it could be the lowest fidelity game. If you have good lighting, it will always make it look amazing.
Yeah, right?
And this one definitely, at the expense of the visuals, like the lighting is not...
I didn't notice any
no
lighting
like,
change,
you could be in,
right?
You mean the depths of whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not...
It's different
really
color.
Yeah.
It's not lighting. Yeah. So maybe that's something that could have shook things up a little.
That's a great critique.
But yeah, I don't know. I think we've, like, again, performance, I never dipped below 240. It was rock solid, which is so important in this game. So yeah, I guess if you have to sacrifice maybe the quality of the visuals a little bit to make sure this runs well, that's more important for this type of game when it's all about timing and fluidity. So I think at the end of the day, this is just not my genre game. And I'm really trying to be fair about it. And also, I will say this, I should have prefaced the whole conversation with this. Like, I was sick during my entire playthrough of this game, and I was trying my absolute... Like, I delayed playing this game because I felt like garbage. And I'm like, I do not want how I feel to influence the rating of the game.
And then playing a genre you don't like.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm really trying to be fair, but I think you're going to be biased in some point.
Sure.
Obviously. Yeah. But, you know, I'm trying to recognize that and give it points where it deserves it. So I just want the audience to keep that in mind when I rate the game. So
I will say, it just as a last thing for like the user experience and like user interface and stuff, because that's kind of that's my thing too. It does give you an option in the beginning. Do you want to have map markers, or do you just want like an empty map and like you fill in the map as you go? I think it does, and I can't think of another game that does this, so I might be wrong here because I'm not super into the genre, but it does give you an option where if you're in an area, you can take essentially a screenshot of it and then you pin it on the map. So then it's like you're saying, oh, there's something here. You can take a screenshot just to jog your memory of like, oh, what was that? Oh, can I even get there anymore? That sort of thing. I thought that was cool. I don't know why they limit, it's probably a technical thing, but they limit the number of screenshots you can take to like 15 or something.
Yeah.
And in a game like that, where it's just there's so much to do, I'm like, that seems like a weird stipulation. I think that the stuff you get and like the different unlocks and things like that, like it's all based around like just going to a store and buying perks and things,
right?
More or less, like it's short of the big story beats. I think they could have done a better job kind of spreading that stuff out and making it something a little bit more interesting. From a UI perspective, I think it's largely okay. I think the map could be better. I honestly, I think a lot of the time, Metroidvania maps could be better just across the board. I think that's part of their, like, I'll put air quotes, like charm, where it's like, oh, it's this, you're just exploring it. It harkens back to the days of like, you didn't know what you were doing. You had to just kind of like explore and really get a feel for the land or whatever.
Right.
I don't think this game is unique enough for me to want to do that.
Yeah, like that's all well and good, but you have to like want,
like Hollow Knight. Yeah,
to do
like Hollow Knight drives me up a wall, but boy, can I appreciate everything it's doing.
Right.
So this one is just kind of like I really wish I could just like teleport wherever I want to, or something like that. Just to like kind of like just I would spend more time in your game collecting things if I could just jump to the different places I wanted to jump to versus having to like run through this crappy section.
There were more, I wish you could teleport to the trees.
Yeah.
Instead of like these big teleporting things, which there's not enough of, because I hate backtracking.
And that's literally the genre.
That's the genre. And like I get it, but like I just feel like it's such a waste of time. I've done this.
It takes a while. Like, so the main thing is like once you get to like the point where I'm at, where I'm like, okay, I have like my full suite of abilities, I can pretty much do everything I want to do.
Yeah.
That's when it's like, oh, now I go back and that first chest that they teach you, like, oh, you can take a screenshot of it.
Right.
Now I get like double jump over, you grab it in like 2 seconds. That you get these little hits of dopamine.
Sure.
But to want to go back and backtrack all the way through there just to like prove that you can overcome all these obstacles, which they aren't obstacles. It's just before I couldn't double jump, now I can.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like people feel differently about that. I prefer just I get an ability, and now from here on, these chests I will be able to do instead of having to go back. But again, that's the game. That's the genre. That's how it works.
It's like it's a very non-offensive middle of the road game. Like the UI is non-offensive. It's fine for the most part. Are there some things I would tweak on the map where like if you're teleporting, it just snaps to the teleporter. So like even if you're like, okay, is this the teleporter I want? You can't actually pan the map around to see where you are. So I think that's the biggest gripe I personally have.
Yep.
But again, it's fine.
It's not. I'm not saying this game. It might come across as look, I have my struggles with this game, but it's not a bad game. I can admit like this isn't a bad game. It's a very competent game, I think, and especially if you like this, I would recommend this game to someone who likes the genre.
Yeah,
this isn't the game that's going to get you into the genre, right? Like an Ori and the Blind Forest might get me into the genre more because of how excellent that game is, right?
Yeah.
This isn't going to do that, but if you appreciate Castlevanias, I think there's fun to be had here for sure.
Yeah.
That's kind of my overall thought
on
the experience. So I don't know if you wanted to rate the game.
Heck yeah.
Did you feel
first one of 2024?
Yeah. So anyone who doesn't know our scale, and I think I know we have a screenshot of it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to add that to maybe our Notion board, so that anyone who's curious, we have a rating scale. It's 0 out of 100, but there's different categories, different levels. So there's like a bronze level, a silver, gold, and platinum.
That's actually a great point. I might put that as like the header image.
Yeah,
that might be good.
Just so that they can understand like how we rank things. So like depending on what point value it's at, it's a silver game. And the reason in philosophy we've kind of chose to do things like that is based on like your own personal preferences and things like that. I think 1 or 2 points, 3 or 4 points, you can interchange those things. So I think we try to capture that through the tiers, to say, hey, look, a silver game's a silver game. It's kind of interchangeable, right? Mm-hmm. And there's kind of a definition on what a silver game or gold game or higher or lower does, right? So, I think adding that would be good. So I don't know. Did you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Oh,
you want me to go first?
No, I can go first. So my heart is saying 80.
Same.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought they were going to be much lower.
No.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to be as non-biased as possible, and I agree with the assessment that this seems like a straight middle of the road game, and an 80 in our scale feels like that's right.
Yeah, it's 76 is a silver, correct?
76 is a silver.
Yeah, so I think that it is better than the bot. Like it's not squeaking by. I think the platforming, the combat, the bosses. Again, personally, like I don't care about the art style. I lean more towards liking the art style than not. I think all of that is done very well, very competent. I think you make progress quick enough that you're feeling good as your abilities are going up, and it's like you get these aha moments and stuff. And I think the puzzles are challenging and rewarding at the same time. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
So I think that puts it into the 80 territory for me. The reason why I wouldn't put it higher is because I think that the story is very uninspired / non-existent. The characters are I just don't think they're memorable like whatsoever. And yeah, generally speaking, like it's a very generic and kind of bland. Like it's not keeping me in there. Like I don't want to 100% this game like I wanted to 100% Ori.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. Yeah.
No, I largely agree with that. Like I was thinking like 79, maybe 78, but I think you brought up a lot of good points. Like the environment, I don't think I was giving that enough credit. And again, the gameplay is competent, fun. Like if I think gameplay is fun, like that's not my biggest, like I don't place the importance on that as other categories. So like if I'm having a good time with that, it must be doing something pretty good. Mm-hmm. And especially like we talked about the boss fights. So, and look, I suck at platforming and it makes me want to die, but I can appreciate the creativeness of the different sections and again, utilizing those abilities in unique and varied ways.
Yeah.
That could be fun for people.
The best part about like the boss fights too is like, it's not they have 12 different health bars. It's literally like when you beat the boss, you beat that boss. Right. And it feels good and you're just like, all right, cool. Like like it's not that there's not stages, but yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think 80's good.
Which is a little lower, to be fair. Like the industry I think puts it like 83, 84, something like that.
87.
Oh, is it that high?
Yeah. No, they're way too high in this game.
Very high.
They're way too high in this game. Like this should be a purple. Like if you're talking Open Critic, it should be a purple.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay.
It's a mighty guy at an 87, which is way too high in my opinion. And maybe I think it's one of those genres.
Yeah, maybe there's like it ends crazy strong.
Doubt it, but maybe that. But I think it's like the genre. People just love the genre.
That's fair.
I think
they're always looking for like the next one of those.
But it's really like there's so many reviews of it too, which is like I thought it was going to start going down once we got more, but it said like 150 and since showing like 86, 87 last time I checked. So it's like
people are like they're
very high on the game. Like in my mind, there's no way this is Game of the Year contender.
No, I don't think so.
And an 87 theoretically is. So that'll be interesting to see. Like, you know, obviously we have a long way to go, but once that starts cropping up, is this going to be nominated for things?
Yeah.
Right? We'll see.
I guess the one last thing too, just from a graphic standpoint too, like even with the boss fights and stuff, there are some really cool, like when everything's like silhouetted and like they do like the crazy like anime style boss things. Yeah. But it's not like a consistent thing where like some bosses have really cool ones, some bosses really don't. It's just like it's like the style is even different. Like it feels...
It's not consistent.
Yeah, it feels a little disjointed.
I get
was just
that.
thinking about that. I don't know.
No,
not to end on that note. Like overall, yeah, it's a solid game where like, and somebody I'm sure has said this, where it's like, oh, you're waiting on Silksong, which is like the standalone thing for Hollow Knight, because it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and everyone's just like frothing at the mouth waiting for it. It's like, yeah, play this, and you'll scratch a little itch. And I'm sure Hollow Knight will be that much better when you play it. But yeah, could it do more? Yes. Is it something that you really shouldn't have paid? Like $15? Like if you play for a Ubisoft Plus, like that is a solid. Like you're actually getting a deal. I think that is great. Yeah. I think this is a good like 30. I would pay $30 for this experience. I think is probably on the top end for me.
I agree. I think that kind of goes into like maybe why I liked it less too, because I paid $50.
That's a tough,
and that's brutal. It was brutal because like I'm not going to get $50 out of this game, but
no,
it is what it is. When you review games, it's the life you take. All right. Well, a little bit longer, but
I remember at the beginning we were like, "Oh, this will be like a quick one. We'll just do Tekken." And
I didn't think we were going to talk about the world
existential crisis and stuff. Yeah.
But if you made it this far, we appreciate that. I had a lot of thoughts on the game. So first game in 2024, exciting. Not as good as the first game in 2023, I'll tell you that. That was something I was thinking about too, where it's like, dude, last year at this time, I was playing Hi-Fi Rush, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And this was not the same.
I know we were like, I think that I enjoyed the intro. Between this and Tekken, I'm like, okay, it's a good, fun January.
Not
crazy.
Terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm excited for Tekken now, but
another
of my favorite genres. Yeah. But yeah, no, if you made it this far, we appreciate that. Check us out, couchcompany.games. We got our reviews on there, so Check out our Prince of Persia score and everything. We'll add the scoring criteria or whatever, the different categories.
Yeah.
And we're going to be here. Same time, same place next week. Thanks for joining us on the couch. Peace.